Okay, now we're recording. Well, just ignore all that beforehand then. But anyway, so we're recording now. I'm gonna be doing this as soon as my co-host returns. So we're gonna get started on the game. But cause go figure, you go and say, hey, we got like 5 minutes before we get started, and they're like, yeah, sure, I'm ready. And then as soon as you turn the camera on, they're like, oh wait, we need to go get something.
What?
Oh, nothing.
You dissing me while I'm gone? Is that what it is?
Yes, I am.
I got it locked out?
Yeah, essentially you're like, hey, oh good, let's go. And then you're like, never mind, I need to be somewhere else right now. I'm like, wow.
No, I want to make sure that everything was working, so I actually checked it out from the other end.
Uh-huh.
Now I have trust in it that it's working and streaming and people can hear us.
So, today, in honor of you and all your comic book lore,
Yay!
a game that's more your forte, namely you play a game that's more your forte.
Did you advertise that we're talking stuff and chatting?
Are you going to say this like every time?
Well, I'm looking. Does it say? What does it say?
It sends out a notification on Twitter whenever.
No, but there's something you put in here that shows the here's a topic we talked about today. Where's the name of our stream for today? Where is that?
I got the microphones to work and I got the game to work. I'm not going to be pushing any other buttons tonight.
No, but isn't there something that goes in there? Oh, okay. Is there not something that goes out that says, here's the game. Where's that show?
It's us.
Okay, where does it say our game?
Down here.
Okay, starting a superhero civil war. Okay, and then put in there that I'm here.
You're in the description.
Where's this at?
If they click on the thing, they'll see the description.
Oh. I just want a bowl.
You're a very high maintenance coach, you know.
I know.
And you have to compete with Madel for that title.
Well, I want to be. I don't want anybody coming in here to be disappointed when they're looking for Madeline. Like, where's Madeline?
Yeah, I already went over that when you left last time, because Madeline stayed around for like an hour after you left, ironically. And she's like, yep, I'm not going to be here. So I'm like, well, I guess then we need to replan our gaming schedule. So in the spirit of that, I decided I dug up the Xbox 360, which is hard enough as it is, considering how janky some of these cords have gone over the years. And we got that, so we're going to play that today. This is a game that me and Madeline have played many times. In fact, we went to a beach house, and I think we beat this 3 times while we were there. So it's a very fun game. This is a sequel, in a manner of speaking. The first Ultimate Alliance came out, was much more kind of a random storyline, and I feel that was one of those just throw as many cameos as you can into the game and kind of weave a story around it. That one's a fun game. It's a much longer game, and it does have a larger selection of heroes and a lot more cameos in terms of villains and other like Marvel properties and stuff like that. However, the reason we're playing this game is because this one has arguably much better controls. It has a little bit more linear of a storyline. It's not quite as long, but that I think is useful for our purposes here, seeing as you're going to be playing and you have exactly how much game experience?
Millions and millions of hours. Burned to my childhood. Just kidding. Very little.
Anyone who actually did have that would not say it like that.
I know. I didn't really have that. Nope, I don't have that much.
So as he has very little experience with any sort of gaming outside of the puzzle genre, which we were not playing tonight, I decided this was probably the better one to start him with instead of starting with the first one, because this one the game mechanics are easier, attacking's easier, the health bars are easier. Just the whole thing's has a whole fresh coat of paint, and it's much better than the first game mechanically. Even
fresh coat of paint, man. You're modern. Look at that with that lingo you're pronouncing with all the kids.
When you have to say all the kids, I told you this last time, but it makes you sound old.
Hey, all you hip kids out of there, you hear that lingo? It's like you're modern. Cool. Thank you.
Are you good?
I'm good now.
Are you sure?
I got to do it. Well, Melanie's not here, so he's got to mock you a little bit, right?
I mean, I'm sure that it's going to come along the way anyway.
Doesn't she mock you a little bit?
No, generally she plays the games and I mock her, so.
Okay, I'll play a game, you can mock me.
That's kind of the point. So, anyway, the funny thing is, like, this one is if the title wasn't enough and the kind of images we're seeing on screen is enough, this one follows the very classic Civil War plot between Marvel, which is now a major movie. So this was like what we had to play Civil War with. before Civil War existed as a movie. Let's see, we're going to do... Yeah, you don't need baby mode. We'll start with regular mode. So anyway.
When we were a kid, we played Civil War, but it was way different than this.
I'm sure it was.
And musket balls and
yeah, I mean,
north and the south.
I figured you were going to... My dad's making dated puns.
Our day is going well. How's your day going?
I was going to say rocks and sticks. You're the one who went north and south.
Oh, north is the Civil War.
I know what.
This isn't a Civil War in ancient Rome or something like that. This is a Civil War in the United States.
Ancient Rome, really?
Well, they had civil wars back then.
Yeah, but I said rocks and sticks, and that's immediately what you went to was ancient Rome.
Well, did they have more than rocks and sticks?
Yes.
How do you know?
Because that's one of the most advanced ancient societies.
How about pre-ink,
I'm glad your day's going okay.
Yeah.
It's a Friday.
Yes.
That's a good thing. I will say, I was talking about earlier about this game's presentation versus the other one. Mm-hmm. The other one had a much more realistic presentation in the cutscenes, and it was a little grittier. The heroes are a lot thicker in this, but they also move a lot smoother than they did in the first game.
Okay, so have we played a Splitgate? I don't know what the Splitgate is. What is Splitgate?
I am not familiar with that. Is that particular game or on a particular console? We're on the Xbox 360 right now.
Uh-oh, this is the original Nick Fury.
I know, yeah. That's what I'm saying. This feels so weird to play now, considering that we live with a Marvel Cinematic Universe and everything. This was, from a time before video game movies, existed.
So, Nick Fury. Let's talk about Nick Fury. Do you know where Nick Fury started?
I feel like I know, but I wouldn't be able to explain it very well.
Take a guess.
New game that has less oh, I have heard of it. I've not played it. I have heard of it and seen it in top 10 lists.
Okay.
But is it a good game? Because as we all know on this channel, it was on streaming, which I first played Portal and fell in love with it. So I'm down for any Portal mechanics.
You play games.
I think all guys have guns, and this one guy has a stick. It's yep, that's going to do you a lot.
Yeah. So Nick Fury, let me give you the Nick Fury. It's a new game that's like Halo with the Portal. We got that. Nick Fury, basically, when Nick Fury
so you're playing the game.
He was with the Howling Commandos, and they were in the war. And who am I?
I don't know. Press buttons. It looks like you're Spider-Man right now.
I'm just hitting
buttons.
It
says A for quick attacks, B for heavy attacks, hold B to target attacks. Yes, you can look at the controller as you play.
I don't know. I'm looking.
I'm glad it's pretty fun. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Cool.
I've been still trying to clear through a bunch of there are so many new great games this year that I want to get that I have to just make a list at this point because I just have too many things to play right now to justify buying more.
Yeah.
This is also the fun thing was I remember there was one. I don't even think the first game that they had a damage output or health bars or anything. It was just a much clunkier gameplay. Even if I prefer the story of the first game better. Now you're Iron Man.
I'm not Iron Man.
Yeah, you are.
Now
you're Wolverine. Now you're.
How do I keep you?
Because you're pressing buttons. This is how games work. You're Captain America now. Okay, focus on two buttons you know do something.
This button, if you do this thing here, this D-pad, it changes the people.
It switches your people, yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, now you just did it 3 times.
Well, I know it. Now you told me. I don't know. I'm just going through here.
Split between heroes using the control pad.
Oh.
That's what the little tutorial bar on the bottom's for.
I'm beating up Wolverine. Look at this. I'm a bad guy now.
So, the dialogue's on the bottom. Make sure you read that.
We're heading to our Castle of Doom.
What is the chat asks, what is your favorite Marvel antagonist?
My favorite Marvel antagonist?
I feel like you would have to break that down to categories.
My original one was, I love the original Green Goblin.
Oh yeah, he is good.
Until they turned him into Norman Osborn, and they did all this stuff later on, when they revealed who he was. But when he first did it, he was like this kind of crazy guy that was out there, and nobody knew who he was, and he would come fight Spider-Man, and then he would kind of get away, and nobody would know what happened. I thought he was cool. I just thought he was, as a kid, I thought he was cool.
In terms of straight up just Spider-Man villains, my favorite was Dr. Octopus. I thought his arm things were cool.
Yeah, that was cool. I'm trying to think of if there was anybody else that I really liked a lot. That was probably my favorite at the beginning.
X-Men are Marvel too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, then I think we have to give props to the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants in the original Uncanny X-Men.
Those are cool.
I really liked them. Mainly because it was like, they were a superhero team that wasn't just like a supervillain team that didn't dissolve after the first comic thing. Because whenever you have a supervillain team, they always end up turning on each other within like an issue.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were like, nope, we're still doing our whole, like, it's essentially the League of Villains for the X-Men. And, you know, Magneto granted, I think, got better as he went on. Like, in terms of he got to be a more charismatic villain, but, like, I just like the whole, like, he had so much gravitas.
Do you remember who were all the people in there?
There was Magneto, there's the Toad, there was Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and, Mastermind, I think his name was, the illusion guy.
Yeah, and then there was the fact of the Blob. He was there.
He didn't come until later though. That was
no, he was the. I think he was there earlier.
Beginning. No, he came in a little later because originally they found him in a circus. The X-Men tried to recruit him. He says, "No, I want to be a villain," so he got recruited by the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Really?
Yeah.
Because what do you call it? Magneto and what do you call it? Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were later. They were much later, but they weren't at the very beginning.
They were there at the very beginning.
There was I thought
you just didn't realize where they came from until later.
I thought it was just Toad.
He had the four of them. Some came and went. For instance, the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver did leave at one point.
Well, yeah, because they became good guys. Became the Avengers.
Yeah, that's the thing. They went to the Avengers
early on.
I remember I went and like read some of the Avenger comics because they said, "Hey, this arc we're doing with X-Men, it's continued in Avenger comic whatever." So I had to go look up that in order to figure out what happened next.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of as you're saying the antagonists. What other folks that I like that were bad guys?
How many other groups we have? Because like I don't know any Avenger bad guys. For instance, everyone knows Avengers now. I never knew anything about them when I actually read comic books. I read Fantastic Four a little bit. I read Spider-Man. I read X-Men. I read the entire Uncanny X-Men series, the first one, which I think is really good. But I like Marvel superheroes. I don't think there's a lot I followed, so I can't stay a lot for like. You notice that you press down the button, it shows you where you're supposed to go next.
Which button?
The control stick.
Just like this?
Press it down, like a button.
Oh, that one?
Yeah, you see how it'll show you where to go next if you ever get
lost. Tell me to walk on the wall.
Okay, let's go up the ramp.
It didn't tell me to go up the ramp, it says walk on the wall.
It's showing you an arrow in the direction you're supposed to
go. An
go.
arrow that goes right to the side of the thing.
I'm not going to argue with you video game mechanics. Unless you really want to date yourself.
I'd date myself, but I have a wife, so I don't need to
I think you're going to make a pun out of it.
Drop point should be just ahead.
So, the drop point's going to be just ahead.
This will also be the Black Widow who has an accent.
Oh, cool.
She's not going to show up here, but I'm just like, this reminds me of back when, she always had an accent, and then after the MCU, she never had an accent.
Well, one person, Fusion, I don't know. I'm not reading any of this.
Read the things, or you're not going to know what to do.
A fusion meter. When the fusion meter is full, you earn a star. Okay, so I don't know how to get it. Hold left and press A, B, or X to choose a teammate to do a fusion attack. I picked somebody. I don't know.
So press one of those.
What?
Hold that down. Yeah, now you're doing a fusion attack.
All right, fusion attack, everybody.
So now run into those guys. So you're teamed with Wolverine, so right now, whenever you run into dudes, he'll slash them for you.
Yeah.
These are important things to know. So this is.
I don't know.
Your training mission where you have to learn the skills.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no skills.
Well, you're gonna have to learn skills.
I used to like in lieu of the what do you call it, the Guardian, the Black Widow movie. I used to like the first Red Guardian when he came out, and then before he was killed, and it turned into another one, then turned into a woman, and then turned into I don't know what he turned into next.
I feel like all the superheroes at some point or another, so yeah.
I just got my person with him. We're just running around, fusion attack.
Yeah, you're doing your team.
Right to the 16, 50. What's that all mean? I hit him 16 times?
Yeah, if you hit a certain amount of enemies while you're doing a fusion attack, you get a bonus.
Come on, run around again. I'm just doing this.
You have other heroes you could use teaming up with.
He seems to be doing a good job. Yeah, so
for
our viewer, what is your
Pay attention to where you're steering. I'll read the chat for
okay,
you.
well, ask them what their favorite antagonists are.
What is your favorite antagonist?
There you go. Thank you.
Say I am.
I didn't hear anything.
You're about to.
I thought the original Frightful Four was cool. That was the Trapster and Sandman and the Wizard and Medusa before she became good.
Isn't it crazy how One Piece, the manga, sold more than... Well, not really, actually, if you ask me, because, let's be honest here. Eastern, like, fans, like, Japanese, and any of those, like, are way crazier than Western fans. It takes us a while to get onto anything. And honestly, when it gets down to that, we're rather indecisive. So, I'm not surprised that any manga would sell better than comic books, just because the comic book industry has a very varied history. And we're kind of fighting themselves most of the time. So, that doesn't, hey, Christiana, we're playing Ultimate Alliance 2. My dad's playing and showing us his amazing gaming skills, which involves punching walls and running into things.
I can't even figure out where to go. I'm just going around in
Captain America right now. We are.
I know, and they're all following me. I want somebody else to follow me.
Because they're your teammates.
One of your heroes has leveled up. Press this to pause the menu and X
We'll
to
do that
view.
later.
Okay, I don't know.
When you level up, you can power up your moves. But right now, I just want you to get through the level.
I don't know where the level is.
Oh, that's true. I totally forgot. He said for Marvel, it's Loki because he's just misunderstood.
Yeah, well, you know, it's interesting because Loki
he's not like that in the beginning.
Well, no, there's many different.
That's electricity.
Oh, I was trying to get my power from the electricity.
You're Captain America. When has he been electric proof?
Always.
Christiana says you're a programmer.
When Loki was interesting, but Loki when Loki was first out there, he was kind of evil, very evil.
Oh no, he was very evil to begin with. He didn't become misunderstood until much later.
He wanted to kill Thor all the time.
Yeah. Well, actually, in a funny way, I would almost relate him a bit to like Green Goblin and stuff like that. Is like, he was just doing crazy stuff all the time. There wasn't any like it was never Thor ticked him off or Thor did this or something. It's like no, he just felt like being evil that day. Like, that was back when he was called the God of Evil, not the God of Mischief. So.
Yeah, he was not the God of Mischief at the beginning. He was God of Evil.
And his character obviously grew immensely since that to the one we have closer to today. But that's just if you like why your heroes died. But so far, you've not died.
Okay,
so
I don't even know where I'm going. It's what you said. It's going to tell me. I push it. It doesn't show me anything.
Press the other one down. Yeah, so that way. So you have to jump across the gap.
Okay, I keep falling. How come he doesn't jump?
Then just go through that.
Go through what? What?
Go through there.
Walk through here?
Yeah, jump.
What's the jump button?
It
says you can't jump that way. And all the other dummies are following me. Like, where are you going, Captain America? I'm like, oh no.
Well, you probably have to jump across the gap then.
Now you got to go back up to the top and over to like, let's follow Captain America back up to the top for the 4th time. You certainly can't jump over this thing, and I don't think you know
where Super Soldier, and he can't jump across the gap.
Okay, come on.
You'll beat that guy up. He's just... All that enemy's just standing over there. He's just watching you constantly fall.
They're like, what is this Captain America dude doing? I don't know where he's going, and he can't jump across the stupid gap.
Well, when you think about it...
I just spin, and I still fell into the thing.
Jump as you go across the gap, not as you're standing there.
I did. I think it's Nick Fury that's dragging me down. He's too slow.
Like, all the people on your team have amazing jumping abilities.
Yes. Yeah. So, anyways, Nick Fury did not have a... there you go, I made it.
You made it.
Okay.
Now
Nick Fury did not have an eye patch when he was there. And then later on, he got the eye patch. I gotta collect this X. Okay.
Yeah.
But he did. But I did not know. Why
you gotta go kill that guy.
I gotta go back down. I just came up here.
Just jump.
Okay.
Jump.
Okay. All right. One of these is jump thing. Okay.
You probably should figure out which one's which.
Okay. One of my other guys had it. But Nick Fury did not have an eye patch, and somewhere there, I think they retconned.
Usually, where there's enemies coming from is usually the place you need to go.
Oh yeah, you told me to walk. Told me to walk into that thing.
No, I said go that way. I did not say jump on the wire.
You said go that way and get shot.
You can go multiple ways. You have options.
But he did not have a eye patch at the beginning, and I don't recall when he moved into being the agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. because again, at first he was started with the Howling Commandos.
That's why I thought he was from the Howling Commandos.
Yes, and it was Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos, and it was very much Army comics, and and that's where he started. When he switched over to S.H.I.E.L.D., I don't recall that where he lost the eye, and I don't think they even told you. I don't
think they did ever tell you. I think he just.
Well, they retconned it later on. They did tell you, but at the beginning, when he was his first issue, he was just there, and he had an eye patch.
I mean, you don't really need to explain things like that. Yeah. You can just say it looks cool and leave it at that.
Well, no, a guy in his last comic didn't have an eye patch, and now he's got an eye patch. Okay, I don't know where my guy went.
I mean, does anyone really ask why Deathstroke, who has a whole healing thing, has an eye patch still?
I don't know.
I think it just makes them look cool. I don't really care why.
Well, even with the eye patch, I'm not gonna go into the thing. No, okay, you didn't tell me cars gonna blow up into me and I'm gonna jump into the thing. You didn't tell me cars can blow up.
I like that you are the kind of gamer that argues with the game as if it's not you controlling it.
I'm not controlling it. It's Captain America. He's got a mind of his own. He's got a mind of his own.
You literally have the game in your hand.
In the if you remember some of the Howling Commandos, that was Dum Dum Dugan and stuff like that, where in the movie they turned him into, it was basically Captain America and the Howling Commandos.
Yes.
But Captain America had nothing to do with the Howling Commandos in the comics.
Well, they probably just wanted to bring them in some way.
Sure.
That was the best way they could do it. Because we do know that's the thing in the MCU is that they do. They're saying, well, I told you, just experiment with future attacks.
Experiment?
Experiment. It means try different ones. But right now, not right now.
I did. Well, you told me to do it.
It just was the tutorial. Just go through the doors.
Yeah. We're running together, me and Wolverine. Come on. Pure fusion attack. Me and Wolverine. Whatever that is. There's what, Electro?
Yeah.
Okay, see this Electro, I like the costume here. This is what he should be in the movies.
Yeah.
Not a dumb blue face guy.
Well, this is actually why I like this movie a lot. They give updates to like the superheroes' appearances, but they still look like they could realistically work.
Yeah.
You know, like they're still colorful, they're still them, but they also look like that does look like an outfit you could realistically wear.
Broke off two pieces.
Okay, maybe hit him.
Oh, where is he?
He's over there.
Oh.
I keep hitting him until his health bar goes down.
Oh.
Have you ever played a boss fight?
No. Oh, I have on Luigi's Mansion. But I
Okay.
just hit him with a vacuum cleaner or something and we won or something. I don't know what it is.
I'm still surprised you beat that game.
And then, and the other thing is that, you can say a boss fight when I did Professor Layton, which that was the one I was going to do today.
Okay, so look that. Follow the electric thing. You gotta find Electro. He's hiding somewhere. So you gotta look for him.
I'm breaking all this stuff and he's hiding behind here, so I know somewhere there he is.
So you can go and hide into the cords on the ground.
Come on. We're going to go. I did my team thing with
Good
Wolverine.
job. Are you going to do it with anyone else?
If I knew how to do it with somebody else, I'd do it. Okay,
You press a
different button.
press a
It's me and Nick
different
Fury, which is Nick Fury stinks. No, who is?
Nick Fury isn't even one of your characters. He's just there.
Oh.
Okay, find where he's at. One of the generators. Destroy the generator he's recharging from. Just beat it up. The machine.
I did.
The coils he's at right there. Keep punching it until it breaks.
Oh, he's got a Tesla coil.
Yes.
Okay. Well, he didn't say.
I'm sorry, it wasn't exact like the thing.
I think I'm going to
It's
break.
essentially punch the thing. I figured that was good enough.
I think I'm going to break the TV. So I want to break.
Maybe don't.
Where's his bar? You said till his bar goes down. Oh, it's down there.
Down the bottom corner.
I'll also be able to look at that bar circle and watch the TV screen at the same
Believe it
time.
or not, video games takes a bit of multitasking.
That's awesome. But what kind of topics you guys want us to talk about today? We're playing this video game in there. You want to talk superheroes?
Besides me just giving our commentary on my dad's amazing gaming skills.
We can talk about cool movies. We can talk about books. We can talk about art, which I know a little bit about.
Focus on not getting electrocuted.
I'm not getting electrocuted. That was Captain America.
That's you. Okay, so now he's recharging, so go find the generator. He's recharging it. Look for him.
I'm looking for him.
Look.
I'm looking for him.
Look that way.
Why would he be that way?
Because.
We already killed everything over that way.
No, he's right there. You don't want this boss fight to go on forever. You gotta break all the generators.
I'm just gonna go break all the generators.
You already broke.
I didn't break this one.
Still
Living.
There's only 2 of them.
Oh. Why does that one look like?
Feelings on the upcoming What If series on Disney Plus.
Okay, so I'm very intrigued by it. Hopefully they do some really cool stuff on there. What Ifs are based upon, I don't know if you guys know, there was a comic series of What If. So those
Spider-Man now, you're dying. Spider-Man's dead now, too.
Well, I don't know if I was supposed to do it. I'm talking about the What If series.
You can talk and do the
not
same
a lot.
time. This is testing your streamer prowess.
So, basically, where'd he go? He can't be charged up again.
I like we're getting the true you as a gamer right now.
That's right. But yes, the What If series were cool. They first came out, and the first one was What If Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four. That was the first issue. I remember that came out when I was a kid, and I actually have there's the first series in the actual paper copies, and from the original ones when I was a kid. I have all the first series. So it was all about what if he joined the Fantastic Four and it was cool, and then like what if somebody else became Thor, and that actually back then Jane Foster or somebody else. What if like Rick Jones, if you guys remember the lore of when the Hulk turned into the Hulk in the original comic books, Rick Jones was there, and Rick Jones is, and we'll explain Rick Jones in a minute. He's a recurring character. Go ahead, take over from you.
I'm gonna. Your dudes died, so I'm gonna.
Go give me my dudes back. So when I went back. In the original one, so the way he became the Hulk is there was a gamma test that was going on, a radiation test. They were letting off a gamma bomb, and Rick Jones was there on a dare, sitting in his jalopy car, and basically ran out there, and Bruce Banner pushed him out of the way, and then the blast Bruce Banner got gamma radiation and turned into the Hulk. So he did that. And then Rick Jones later on went off, and after Captain America was revived, he became his partner. He dressed in the Bucky costume, because Bucky at this point in time was dead in the comic books, and for a long time he was dead until he came back as the Winter Soldier years and years and years later. But Bucky, he became the second, but they only called him Rick. They never called him Bucky. So he was the second Bucky.
Rick.
Yeah, just Rick. And then he went off and he left Captain America, and he went into a cave, and he found these negabands. The negabands, he put them on, and he would clink the negabands together, and he became Captain Marvel. So the Captain Marvel, like the movie, the female Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, she wasn't Captain Marvel. Originally, Captain Marvel was he was from the not the Kree, but the other ones. They used to fight the Krees.
It's just still weird to me, just because of the fact that I really Captain Marvel.
No, he was a Kree, but he used to fight the Skrulls, and he wasn't actually a good guy. He became a good guy later, but he somehow got trapped into the negative zone. And if you don't know what the negative zone is a negative place that Mr. Fantastic found.
It's where they put all their plot devices that don't work.
Yeah, they put everything in the negative zone. That's where they put people in, and later on they come out and that type of stuff. But anyways, he was trapped in the negative zone, and the only way he could come out, he was put in there. But I can't remember who put him in there. But he was in there. He had these bands, and if you smacked the bands together, he would come out, and Rick Jones would go into the negative zone until they flipped back and forth. Kind of like a ripoff of Billy Batson and Shazam.
How surprising, considering his name is Captain Marvel.
Yeah, it was kind of a ripoff, and it was original Captain Marvel was Shazam.
And that's a ridiculous thing to begin with, so I don't even know why you would want to copy that.
Well, because they wanted the trademark rights, so that's why they came up with Captain Marvel. The trademarks actually lapsed because Fawcett went out of business and nobody was using it, so Marvel is like, well, you're not using that name, we'll use it. And if they put a book out, they could trademark it. And they reserve the name. So
if you hold down this button and press the button, it does a special attack.
Okay, you do that for a bit, and I'll watch you. So anyways, in that whole thing is that now Rick Jones was now Captain Marvel until at some point in time they were fighting the Adaptoid, and the Adaptoid created negabands just like that, and when they hit them together, Rick came back, Captain Marvel came back, and then went to the Adaptoid, and the Adaptoid was somebody that he could basically touch people and absorb their powers and become like they are. So he had absorbed part of Iron Man's powers, and when he did the Captain Marvel, they sent him to the negative zone, and they both came out. Carol Danvers was actually, believe it or not, in the original Captain Marvel books, and she was working at NASA, and she helped him escape when his name was Mar-Vell, M-A-R-V-E-L-L.
I still think that's dumb.
Yeah. So, anyways, she helped him, and then later on, I can't remember if it was like a blood transfusion or something like that, then she became Miss Marvel.
Okay, so this is the plot of things. We're here for a secret.
So we got to watch this.
We're here for a secret mission for...
I think the Wolverine looks cool.
Everyone knows that war was favors, and he always calls them in sooner or later. It could be much worse than this.
Yeah, we're all watching this. If you wonder why we're not talking, because we're reading.
Like we're soldiers of fortune or something?
So we're invading Latveria, in case anyone didn't notice.
We wouldn't be doing this without a good reason. Wringing your little hands over the poor Latverians.
His hair looks freaky though.
You think they do the same for you? Colonel Fury, what do you have for us? Mr. President, one of our ongoing investigations into supervillains recently had a major break. We've always
Now he looks like the dude that's in the Suicide Squad.
who run around in high-tech armor were getting their materials from an underground figure, Phineas Mason, aka the Tinkerer. And what
Tinkerer?
we didn't realize until recently is that the Tinkerer himself is being supported by someone outside the country, specifically Lucia von Bartz, elected Prime Minister of Latveria.
I don't know who she is. Never heard of her.
Well, she's elected Prime Minister of Latveria.
I didn't know there was a Prime Minister of Latveria. I just thought it was Doom was the president of it.
Apparently, well,
Emperor.
I'll tell you, in Ultimate Alliance 1, he got kind of killed, I guess.
Doom?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
stole Odin's powers, and so when you got them back, Odin's been torturing him for the who knows how long at this point. But the point is, no one's ruling Latveria right now, so she's ruling it right now.
Okay, got it. So where did I leave off? I talked about Captain Marvel. We're talking about the Hulk.
Marvel is the stupid name.
Marvel was a stupid name we went through there, but I don't even know how we got on Rick Jones. But that's how the Hulk became the Hulk.
They were asking you about the What If series.
Oh, yeah. So they had what if Rick Jones didn't get pushed out of the way and he became the Hulk? So, and then what happens in those type of things? So,
I know nothing about Ultimate Alliance 1, so I'm sure. Well, to be honest, this is what I kind of mentioned a bit in the beginning. Ultimate Alliance 2 is a 2, but it's also just literally the Civil War plotline. So you don't really need to know anything about Ultimate Alliance 1. In fact, the only thing that really affects it is what I just told my dad, which is that Dr. Doom was the ultimate big bad of the first game, so the reason he's not ruling Latveria right now is because he's being tortured by Odin. So, that's really the only way that these two things are going to combine here. Ultimate Alliance 1 was about them teaming up with Nick Fury and him assembling a team of superheroes, and they win and fight Dr. Doom and Galactus and all the big bads that you could possibly think about. We're playing this one, though, because it's the easier of the two games, and while he's not right now, my dad's been playing this. So this one is literally just following the Civil War storyline right now.
oh no, you can't see me. This is me. I'm doing this awesome
yeah.
exercise.
You just don't want to tell them about how you went and like walked on all the electrical wires and ran into doors.
I figured to give me
that
power.
It was your fault the things were exploding.
That's true. And Spider-Man's dead. How do you get him back?
I have to get another token to revive him.
Oh.
Because you let him die because you looked away, and I told you I'd handle the chats.
Oh. No, I'm handling the chats now.
Yeah.
So Ultimate Alliance here. That's cool. Keeping going with the what ifs here. So I don't know what I've seen some of them out there.
We're all superheroes stepping on electric lines because you.
That's what I thought. See,
it's not
thank you,
Captain
Spoiler.
America.
That's what it should be. He should have a powerful
Captain America doesn't do that.
Then it would be electric shield. Then he could throw the electric shield at people and then like shock them from afar. That would be awesome.
You could do that if you teamed up with an electric superhero, but you can't do it by yourself.
He did Captain America. Yeah, I mean he's got boots and stuff. But he's grounded. He's got boots and he's got rubber boots and rubber soles and big leather gloves on. He should be good.
I don't think he would be good.
Yeah, but I don't know what.
Yes, I'm sorry. He did kill Spidey. That is entirely his fault.
I know.
Electric Captain America. He pretty much is. Electric Captain America is Thor.
That's right. Well, yeah, there you go.
Let's all think about that for a moment there.
That's true.
See, I can revive Spider-Man.
Yeah. So
okay, Spider-Man's alive again.
Cool. Would you hit the button to do that?
This one.
Okay.
Hold down this and then press the button to heal them.
Okay, I'd never get that.
Well, you're gonna have to play this again. I'm not playing this the whole time.
Yeah, but just on the what ifs, I didn't see the advertising of which ones are which they're coming out with, but I'm hoping.
I just saw the one where they have the Agent Carter became Captain America, the Captain America zombie one, and something else.
I hope they're good ones. Well, in the what if in the comics, there was actually two series: the first series, and then the second series. The first series was cool for a while, and then they just kind of ran out of stuff. It seemed like they were just reaching for stuff.
Yeah,
and then
Spidey's alive again.
Yeah, Spidey is
I'm
alive.
gonna do this part because this art actually is kind of difficult.
Good, then you can.
Well, you guys gotta dodge these things. The thing is, you gotta get close enough to hit the thing.
And then the second one, why don't you throw your shield and hit it?
Okay, I blew it up.
Oh.
We had a lot of issues with that the first time though, because I played this with Malin, and when you're playing on two, you can see half my team is dying. Like, you play this on 2-player, it's a lot harder because, as it happens in most 2-player games, you get a tether that keeps you together, so it means that you can't be too far away from each other or you yank the other person across the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be helpful to have 2 players, because that means you're not playing all by yourself. But sometimes when you're doing things that require you to avoid obstacles that are coming at you, it can be very hard.
Yeah. So finish off the second finish the What If story. So the second What If series was just kind of crazy. They just stuff that wasn't all. First of all, it wasn't all that interesting, but secondly, it was not all that far off. Like the first one was what if Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four? And amazing thing. What if the Avengers or what if the Invaders, who were the first retconned super team, which had Captain America, Human Torch, Submariner, Bucky, Toro was the Human Torch's sidekick. I think that was all that was in the original.
The robot?
Oh yeah, no, the Human Torch was a robot, but Toro was a regular guy.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And then, he died, and then they brought him back later on. And then also was.
He has a name like that. I expect you to have gold powers.
The Wizard.
The
That wasn't the guy that just peed on everybody.
You make that joke every single time you talk about this, and I'm really getting tired of it.
Come on, that's funny. No, the Wizard was actually he was a speedster. You couldn't call the Flashes already existed. They couldn't do that. Yeah, Johnny Quick was already in existence, and he was. So
they have a Johnny Quick. They just have a Jimmy Quick or a Frank Quick or any other thing.
No, see, they had the Quick Bunny, but.
2-player tether, the shadow of friendship.
Yep.
Yes, it happens all the time. I don't know if that's arguably better or worse than split screen, though, to be fair. Because split screen can be really annoying, too. I don't know if there's ever been a truly cohesive 2-player experience.
Yep.
If I could get the other controller working, we could have 2 players, but I'm waiting for it to charge.
But then the other one in the Invader, why don't you have it plugged in? I'll get charged.
Because I'm trying to charge this one.
Oh. The Invaders that you didn't... Don't we have more than one of those ports?
Yeah, but there's only one port.
The other one's broken?
Well, it's got tape over it, so I'm going to assume it's
it's broken. That is the one that is broken. I remember that right now. I taped it because it blew up something. Elliot blew it up. But the other one was in Miss America. So Miss America was in there. And they were in there, and basically in the other one they were supposed to have broken up because Captain America and Bucky were killed by Baron Zemo in the retcon so that he could go into the ice and then be rescued by the Avengers years later. So this one was, okay, what if that didn't happen? But at the end of the story it was kind of dumb because Captain America and Bucky died anyways.
Well, that's encouraging.
But the rest of the Invaders just stayed, which is weird.
I don't understand stories where the point at the end is, well, they died. So I'm like, well, okay, I guess that's great.
And then the other one was the what if the Invaders were, or what if the Avengers were different characters, that type of stuff. They had Robot Man and
I don't know how
like
he sees. His eyes are so squinty.
I don't know.
What do you want to say?
Okay, what did he ask us?
He says they were going into the bad person's place, essentially.
Okay, when do we get a full brief on the mission, Fury? I want to know that one.
So we can be aggressive, diplomatic, or
I'm aggressive. Captain America's aggressive.
We're going to be aggressive.
Let's just say I got a message for their Prime Minister. Something you just can't say over the phone. Now you don't need any more detail than that. Let's quit the jibber-jabber and get this job done already.
He's so squinty.
Okay. After that, okay. There you go. That one's good. You also true.
Oh, now you're gonna hurt my feelings. Time to move out, ladies. Going up.
Cool.
He has an eye patch and he's so incredibly squinty that I don't know how he, aims anything.
Yeah. So, in our, just continuing, we've been talking about this whole summer, when I've been on before. It was a summer of terrible movies, so I think I told last time.
Watch this time.
I was supposed to watch, I told you earlier, but I'll tell them. One of the things I want to do is go through all the DC animated cartoons. So I've been through all of them, and there's a few that I missed. And the one that I hadn't watched yet, that I said last night, I was going to watch, was Batman meets Scooby-Doo. I know you all are dying to see that movie.
How well does everyone think it actually went?
Yeah.
Because I would think it wouldn't go very well.
Well, the first one, the ones that were on the Scooby-Doo movies, when they had those, cartoon movies, they were good, but they were just okay. It was a Scooby-Doo movie, and it just happened to be Batman. The other movie, the other one they had Laurel and Hardy, and another one they had some other thing. That it was the new Scooby-Doo movies.
He says, "Loved Batman meets Scooby-Doo as a kid."
Yes.
He also said there's multiple of them.
Yes, the ones that you saw as a kid were probably really good, and this one here was a one that was done just recently, and it had the Batman that was kind of like a Batman that, if you ever saw the Fisher Price little Batman guys, that type of stuff, that
Oh, is it like the Brave of the Bold ones that has the super double chin?
Yeah, the Imagine Necks, they're called the things.
That one looks so weird.
Yeah, he's like big and blocky and got a big square chin. I'm trying to see if I have a figure of him over here. I don't think...
like, Batman needs to look intimidating, and that one just makes me wonder why.
Yeah, he looks... we don't have a figure of him here because it's so stupid looking. But he was terrible.
How do you mess up Batman?
And then they had the voice of Batman. They messed up bad, because then the voice of Batman was Diedrich Bader. So I don't know if you guys know who Diedrich Bader is. He's a dark-haired guy. He used to be on the Drew Carey Show, if you know what that show was. He's on a lot of shows. He does a lot of voices. He's always a guest star. He does a lot of cartoon voices. So he's got like a real deep voice. Yeah, you saw the Hanna-Barbera ones. This is a new one.
Yeah, I like the Hanna-Barbera one.
Yeah, that was good. So he did this, and they cast him as Batman's voice, which was terrible. He was a horrible Batman's voice. He does other people good, not Batman. It was the wrong voice for him. And didn't expect the plot to be good, but it was so bad. I tried to close my eyes and just listen. I couldn't watch it anymore.
When you're talking about Scooby-Doo and cartoons, it's a very, very, very low bar you have to cross. And the fact that you can't even cross it is pretty sad.
Yeah. So it was really, really bad. I would never tell any one of you to watch it unless you're torturing yourself or somebody else and you want to watch it. So, but I had to do it because I had to go through the whole.
This choice between that and Steel, which one would you rather watch?
Honestly, because that voice annoyed me so much, I'd watch Steel.
How about that and Catwoman?
I've watched Catwoman before both of those two. Yeah, Steel was terrible.
You know it's bad.
Yeah, it was bad. They had an Aquaman on there and they made him a goof, and it was just so.
Did they ever do anything else with Aquaman?
Well, he was just a real goof, and it was a wrong voice casting for that one too. And I don't even know who they were fighting at the end of the day, and it was just so stupid. Because there's some good Scooby-Doos. The original Scooby-Doos were kind of cool. That one that you guys watched was like the Scooby-Doo one where it was like with that professor.
Mystery Incorporated.
Mystery Incorporated.
Yeah, there's the Mystery Incorporated, which actually is pretty good because it does a surprisingly coherent plot line for Scooby-Doo.
And it was a little bit more serious.
And the What's New Scooby-Doo was pretty good too.
Yeah. It was kind of bad, like the Scooby-Doo movies. Those weren't all that great. And then, like, if you did the Scooby-Doo Laugh Olympics when he was in there, it's like as bad as that. If you ever watched the Laugh Olympics, so that came on
Wacky Racers.
Yeah, it was kind of like the Wacky Racers, but then they had a Laugh. So Wacky Racers became first, and Scooby-Doo was never in the Wacky Racers. But then
remember they had a game.
Yes, they have Wacky Racers in there. That was and Dastardly and Muttley and those type of things. That wasn't Penelope Pitstop and other stuff like that. That wasn't good. They later came out with something where they were Olympic teams, and Captain Caveman's team I think was one. And if you remember,
I think I vaguely remember this.
And then
they have like Dynamite or whatever.
Dynamite was in there, Scooby Doo, and but the other one, those were terrible. And it was just as terrible as that.
My childhood Scooby-Doo cartoons were the Hanna-Barbera ones, What's New Scooby-Doo and the Laugh Olympics. Yep.
So what did you think of the Laugh Olympics, if you watched Laugh Olympics? Because I definitely, the Scooby-Doo cartoons, and I think the What's New Scooby-Doo, is that the one where they always had guest stars, like Batman was on that one, and they would have...
That was a different one.
That was a different one? That was the new Scooby-Doo movies, wasn't it?
No, there was another TV show that did that. I don't remember what it was called, though.
I think it was before...
Scooby-Doo was the updated version of the original Scooby-Doo, where they had just better animation.
No. There was one in the 70s, as Spotler was saying, when they were around the Laugh Olympics time. There was a Scooby-Doo, and then there was another Scooby-Doo. But there was another Scooby-Doo.
They reused names too often, honestly.
Yeah, but one of them they used to have guest stars on it all the time.
I don't remember what that one's called.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what they had like the Addams Family and stuff.
Yes, that's the one.
Cool.
That was all right. It wasn't as good as the first one. The first ones were
Batman
cool.
was on that one.
Yeah, that was the Batman was on that one and everything else.
The best part was that Robin's voice actor was Shaggy. So
yep.
Because that was his voice actor in the Super Friends. But this is the one show where Shaggy is, so it's kind of weird when you have the same guy playing two entirely different characters.
Casey Kasem was the guy.
Exactly. That's why I thought it was funny. I'm like, for the longest I'm like, what is that voice? Like, oh, it's Shaggy, who actually also happens to be in the show because we're watching Scooby.
Oh, you like the Laugh Olympics? Well, maybe as a kid we did, but you got to see Grape Ape and all those other people in there. That was fine, but
What was more interesting for me was like the fact that I didn't know where a lot of those characters came from originally until actually later in life.
Every one of those had their own cartoon, but it was just dumb. I mean, the thing was they put them all together in this thing, but they weren't funny. None of them were. The Laugh Olympics just really wasn't funny.
They were trying to recapture the magic of Scooby-Doo with a dozen different talking animals.
Yeah, it was just silly, and it wasn't that funny. And Grape Ape had its own cartoon at one point in time. They all had their own. Grape Ape and Beagly Beagly. I don't know if you remember that one, but that was kind of cool. Yeah, so it was my introduction to all the characters. Yeah, it was an introduction for a lot of people, those characters. So, just like you said, Dastardly and Muttley, that was the guy that went around the blimp that had the mustache and the little dog. They had their own cartoon at one point in time.
Were they in the Scoob movie?
Yeah, I think they were when they brought him back.
I didn't watch it, but you watched it and told me it was not worth watching, so I figured it must have been pretty bad.
Yeah, like a year ago they came out with a 3D animated, which I love 3D animated cartoons.
The Wizard and the Scorcher?
I don't know the Scorcher, but I know the Wizard. The Wizard was original. He was in original Frightful Four, and he was originally fought.
Fantastic Four, right?
No, Frightful Four.
No, I mean, but he fought the Fantastic Four.
They fought the Fantastic Four. He fought the Fantastic Four on his own first, and then he became part of the Frightful Four. So he, again, as the Trapster. The Trapster was originally called Paste Pot Pete.
I do remember that.
That was his name, Paste Pot Pete.
It's the weirdest name ever.
And he actually started in Strange Tales magazine, where he was fighting. Strange Tales magazine had a solo adventure of the Human Torch. So, the Johnny Storm Human Torch. So, just as a kid, they had his hijinks and his fighting stuff. So he fought the Paste Pot Pete, who later became the Trapster. Sandman, who originally started in Spider-Man, he came over. And then Medusa, who was one of the Inhumans, she originally was in there as a bad guy.
Yeah, I remember that, because that was in the Fantastic Four TV show.
Correct. So, that switched out. She later became a part of the Fantastic Four, which, it's always interesting to me, the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four was there, but the Invisible Girl who became the Invisible Woman, who was Sue Storm, she was in there, then she was out. She was in there, then she got married and had a baby. Then Crystal came in. Crystal from the Inhumans.
Yeah, who was Johnny's girlfriend.
Was Johnny's girlfriend, and I don't remember how she got married to Pietro, who was Quicksilver.
Really?
Yes, she married Quicksilver. Yes.
Gosh.
Matter of fact, I'm in that portion of my.
Quicksilver wanted to just go into every different canon, don't they? Because they just can't stay with the X-Men.
Yeah, I'm actually reading part of the Avengers where it's their wedding. The latest one I'm in is the Avengers wedding. So, of them too. So they're all going there. And then whatever, she went back, and then Medusa came in, and she was one when she left again, and then she left again at some point in time. And who's the female Hercules lady? I can't remember her name. She was one of them. Thundra, or whatever her name was. She was her replacement for a while. So just every time she'd go away, and it'd be like, oh, she's having another child. Oh, she's somewhere else, and they'd bring somebody else in for her. So it's always weird. I'm like, well, then why did they make her a character? They not like her powers that much? They couldn't write anything for her, so they had to take her out. It was just weird. So, and then even when the Thing got changed back to be human, Ben Grimm, he
Yeah. Which Quicksilver was your preferred favorite? Because I personally like Quicksilver who appeared in the X-Men movies.
I liked him better too.
Well, he just embodied Quicksilver better.
Yeah.
Because that was this whole thing, is he's this hyperactive guy. The other one never gave me that vibe.
Yeah, I like the guy.
And I came to like Scarlet Witch over time, but like when she and Quicksilver showed up in the Avengers, I didn't like them.
I didn't like the Quicksilver in the Avengers. He just didn't do anything for me.
And also, he has the disadvantage of coming after the X-Men Quicksilver, who was just infinitely better.
Yes, I did like him better. So. That was cool. And then I liked the Scarlet Witch after, that and the WandaVision, that type of stuff. She was cool in there.
Well, she got better over time.
Yes.
They did not have good interaction.
No. No, and it's interesting in the...
So now we can choose whatever heroes they want.
Here's Luke Cage. Luke Cage was in the Fantastic Four, too. I was just about to say that when... what's his name? Ben Grimm got turned back into a human. They brought in Luke Cage to replace him.
So these are the heroes we have access to right now.
Okay. The Thing. Gambit. I don't know much about Gambit. I didn't care for him.
I'll be playing with him, so.
Okay. I like...
Fantastic.
Ooh, Iceman. Can Iceman shoot people?
Yes.
With his ice?
Human Torch, Storm. That's who Madeline always plays with. Invisible Woman.
We can have an Invisible Woman, then we have to switch her out because she we go in there. So I go with the what do you call it? Go with the thing.
Thing.
Yeah, let him smash some stuff. As I told you, I'm reading the original series of the Iceman too. It's good. I'm reading the original series of Fantastic Four again through, and I like some of the issues in there, but at that point in time, Stan Lee was writing them with Jack Kirby, and Stan Lee is so freaking wordy.
Let's see. Oh yeah, I forgot to spec 5. Yeah, I like the X-Men one much better, but I want to see more of him in the MCU. I feel like he didn't even give him a chance. He died in the least moving and unimpactful way. Yes, his death was very stupid. The fact that the Quicksilver of X-Men could literally slow down time to the point of he could just move bullets out of the air, and yet the MCU Quicksilver died by bullets is the stupidest thing ever. I felt the MCU Quicksilver and Wanda just didn't get very much character. Wanda didn't get anything until WandaVision, and Quicksilver had poor combo, being overshadowed by the X-Men Quicksilver and not having much shown in his character before he died. Yeah, he was at best a plot device, and that's kind of sad. Because Quicksilver's a really interesting character, especially when he's involved with the X-Men. So, it's... MCU, I'm like, I gotta say, the one thing that, like, they got their butt kicked on was those two.
I liked in the X-Men one where they brought in Quicksilver because the effects that they did, like him running around that room, to your point, and he was able to, tap on a bullet to do this, that he was so fast, I thought that was cool. That was really cool. The other one, to your point, he was just there and not that impressive to me, so.
Well, how do you make... It's like speed is such a great superpower. How did they make that boring?
Well, you know what? As a kid, I used to think speed was dumb. I'm like, if I could have all these powers, I wouldn't want to be the Flash. Like, the Flash is dumb. But then later on, actually it was on... This is why I went back. I feel there could be so much... Yep, there could be. When I saw the Flash, it actually occurred to me in the Flash TV show, he was fighting Arrow. And he was, like, going around, and he was, like, punching him, and he was going real fast and punching him. I'm like... That would actually be pretty cool. You could just go so fast and keep punching somebody. They couldn't stop you. You're just so fast. But then, of course, the arrow could go and caught him. I'm like, how the hell did he catch him?
I'll give my two cents into this conversation, because it's the one I've actually had with video game characters and other things.
You had conversations with video game characters? Did they talk back to you? I'm just kidding. You say you had a conversation with video game characters.
No, when we talk on stream, we talk about topics all the time. And I've talked about this with other characters, from the likes of everything from the likes of Sonic to, if you're talking about Overwatch, I talked about Tracer a bit before. But I'm like, speedster characters kind of walk a fine line in the fact that they have to be careful not to become predictable. Because they are so fast and they are used to reacting at such a fast rate. One thing that I found is a way to get them is they overreact. I mean, they essentially don't do anything and they'll overreact, and it gives you a chance to go at them. Or the fact that they run the risk of becoming...
I agree.
Yes, I do. Or the fact that they become predictable. And, well, I'll tell you this, Spot, you who has a lot of speed-based characters, when we go and write stories, is that speed-based characters have the issue of potentially becoming predictable if they're not careful. Like, and this actually does happen to Quicksilver in the Apocalypse movie, is that he's very dependent on his speed, but when there's someone who can keep up to his speed, he gets taken out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a good power as long as you don't have someone who can outthink you. And that's where I think that, they didn't show it well in the TV show, but that's where I think Arrow could outdo Flash, is he outthought him. They didn't show that very well in the show when they fought. I thought that was kind of cheap, but hypothetically, he could out-strategize him, because he has the means
He could do that. I'm not saying I like the speed as a character, but I used to think it was ridiculously dumb.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, no, it's not that bad. You could have that type of stuff. And especially when they start getting into that, I'll just speed my hand up, and then I'll grab your heart, and then I'll stop.
That's where, like, that's the thing about Flash that always kind of bothered me, is that I like it when... That's why I kind of like Quicksilver better, because, like, he never did those sort of things. He was just fast for the sake of being fast, where Flash felt like you were literally bending physics after a while, and it's almost like, well, then what can't you do? Whenever he shows up in, like, the thing I watch online is YouTube is Death Battles. I do that more just because I like to hear the character breakdowns and all the different lore stuff. But what they do is that they go and put two characters against each other, no holds barred, using all their abilities. And there are certain characters that you just can't beat in any way. And, like, one of them is Flash, because he can do, like what you said, he can break reality, essentially. He can time travel. He can go and grab your heart, because he's, like, phasing himself, and, you know, you instantly die. So he's a very hard character to beat because of that. And Superman's a similar character, where he's just like, well, I can literally rewrite reality by blinking, so therefore I win. And they're not as much fun characters to play with. I think it's more interesting to have a character that has a limited skill set and is clever than one who's just like, well, I'm going to just rewrite time right now.
Yep.
So, I think speed powers can be a lot of fun if they're used correctly.
Yeah.
Newsflash season has speedsters with a lights. Really? Yeah. Having a lightsaber fight with Speed Force lightning? Gosh, I did see that recently where like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, the Flash is still going because Arrow's done, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Speedster-like character is very unpredictable. Yes, that's because partly in purpose because she's inexperienced. Yeah. And I wanted to face someone to see how to deal with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speed is great until you run into someone who knows how to deal with speed.
Well,
and then you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
I wouldn't do speed. I told you already. What superpowers would I have? I would have two superpowers if I could have them. Evie, which one are they?
I think is one of them have to do with turning into anyone?
Nope.
Because I don't remember who I had the conversation with. But I remember talking to someone and being like, well, if I could shapeshift into anyone, I would do that because I can have any of the abilities.
Yeah. Well, it's not really two abilities, but it's kind of going the same type of ability.
Isn't one of them have to do with time travel?
Yeah. Mine would be not as Doctor Who, but I'll call it the Doctor Who powers. If you could go travel anywhere in time and space,
yep,
that type of stuff. Not having to have a TARDIS or anything like that. You could just go back and go, I'm going to go here, time and space, that type of stuff. That would be the coolest power.
He fought the Speed Force. Wait, in the show? How would they even do that?
I don't know.
They have to like turn the Speed Force into a person because I feel like I don't know how else you would fight a force. That just sounds dumb.
It does sound dumb.
Okay, anyways.
That's why we haven't watched that show in a while, because I think it's been dumb.
The funny thing is that it actually started off really good. And the first two seasons were strong. After that, everything fell apart.
Well, when they started arrowing it too much.
Well, it's more like the fact that it started not make... The moment... Let me put it this way. The moment he discovered time travel, everything was downhill from there.
Yeah.
Because next thing you know, they're going to different dimensions. Oh, now don't worry, we can go and fix this. We can just go and time travel the heck out of it. And the point of return where we stopped watching it was where he, like, the end of the first season, when he realizes he can't go back and save his mom because it's himself who's fighting.
That wasn't the first season, was it?
It was either the end of the first season and the second season. But the point is that he went and found out he couldn't go back and save his mom because he had to let the events carry out the way they had so that, you know, the timeline was fine, that he could have his friends, and, like, he just had to move on from that. And that was a choice. It was a big moment, it was really impactful, it was heartfelt, and then it was either at the end of season 3 or something along those lines. It's whenever his dad died. After he had to deal with all the otherworld Flashes, which I thought was kind of cool that they made Jay Kirk the bad Flash. I thought that was an interesting twist. Especially after they held the whole emotional, oh no, he died thing. What was he, Zoom or whatever?
Yeah.
But, the fact that after his dad died, so, by the way, for context, so many people have died up until this point. Lots of bad things have happened, like, what was it, Iris's fiance guy died, someone else important had died recently, lots of bad things have happened. But the moment his dad dies, after literally they've just saved, like, this other world, he's beaten Zoom, and it was, like, the hardest thing he's ever had to do. He just got his confirmation of love from Iris, blah, blah, blah. His dad dies, and he's like, nope, you know what, I'm going to go back on that one really important decision I made a season ago. I'm going to save my mom. Screw the rest of the world. And unsurprisingly, the timeline goes haywire, and I hated in the very next episode, he's like, I shouldn't have done that. I'm like, really? You think?
Well, the whole Flashpoint thing.
It was so out of nowhere.
Well, they were gonna do it, but it seemed rushed to me. Like they had 2 more seasons before they started going down the Flashpoint thing, or a season plus.
It felt like forced conflict almost.
It was too early to go do that type of stuff. So that's why we don't watch that show. That's a good reason, right?
Well, I think it's fine. It's fine for characters to do stupid things. It's more like they need to do it informed. Like, in the fact that literally, it was more the way they presented it, which was, like, the fact that, like, oh, this is... instead of it being, oh, this is the straw that broke the camel's back, it was more like, oh, I'm fine until my dad died, and now I want to destroy everything. It was not built up. It was not earned. It is as important of a character as his dad was to him at that point. It didn't feel like it was a proper reaction because, again, he had just lost. I don't remember who it was, but he had just lost someone else. Like some other important thing happened, and the fact that it was like, oh, well, you didn't go crazy when this guy died, but when it's your dad, then yeah, of course, it's okay to screw the entire timeline.
Yeah, well,
it felt immensely selfish in a way that it didn't earn. And kind of did just feel like, no, this is a character grieving and making a bad choice. Like, no, Flash is just being stupid. He knows what's going to happen, and he does this. It like you know what was a better one I felt was the Flashpoint movie.
Cartoon?
Yeah,
yes.
The cartoon one. I think that one gave a better explanation for him causing the Flashpoint thing. And in fact, that he caused it, but he wasn't aware he caused it.
Yeah.
You know, in the TV series, he was entirely aware of what was going to happen if he did that, and he did it anyway.
Yeah.
So it made it more of a shocker in the Flashpoint cartoon because he didn't realize that he was the one who caused it. He thought it was Professor Zoom that did it, but it turned out it was him the whole time. And that was the kicker, is that he, again, same issue. He was missing his mom, and he accidentally messed the timeline up.
Yeah. In the Flashpoint cartoon, he didn't go back because of his mother, did he?
Yeah, he went back to save his mom because his dad died for some reason. That means that instead of going back and saving his dad, he was like, nope, I gotta go back and save my mom.
Which is all retcon because his mom wasn't dead in the comic books.
Well, the thing that's dumb about it is that he has this whole thing where he's like, okay, my dad's dead, so my immediate reaction is to go and save my mom and therefore screw the entire timeline, as opposed to, I don't know, go back and save his dad maybe, or anything else. Stop the. Like, there's so many other things he could have done as a gut reaction to try and right things, so to speak. Get his.
Know what he could have done? He could have went back in time and went to the Arrow show and fixed it before it got dumb. That's what he could have done.
He could have done that too.
Save Tommy, and then he wouldn't say from my friend Tommy.
There's so many things he could have done to quote unquote fix the timeline that, like, the fact that his gut reaction was, let me go do this one thing. The other reason this decision doesn't work is because they had already done it in a previous season. Him going back in time, being told by his future self, no, don't do this, you need to just suck it up, dude. And he did. He chose to leave.
Well, bad writing. So what other shows are you watching?
I hate when shows go and retcon themselves for the sake of conflict.
Yeah, well, that was dumb. It's bad writing. I don't know if they got new writers in it or what. It was dumb. What about, does anybody watch the Daredevil TV show? I tried to watch a couple episodes. It was just so, at least the first two were slow and dark and boring.
I can't remember if that's the one that people said they liked or not. There was one.
Elliot likes it.
There was one that was on that people were like, I like that, and there was another one that everyone's like, no, it was dumb. I can't remember which one it was.
No, I think people like that one.
Have you seen the commercials for the Shang-Chi or whatever it is, the guy with the 10 rings?
Yeah,
I keep seeing commercials for that on YouTube, and I wonder. I honestly don't know where that comes from comic book lore wise, but it looks interesting.
It was Shang-Chi was the master of Kung Fu. There was a, I really like Daredevil. It took some time to get moving. Yeah, that's why I watched the first couple, and it was just slow. I didn't get into it yet. But, I was like, I don't have time to go spend away for this to get good because it was too slow. It was designed to be binged. Okay, that's good to know. Because I hate when you have to watch it and it's so, the plot's so slow and you're waiting for the next shoe to drop. Yeah. But Shang-Chi was definitely in there. Never liked the character. I never cared for it. I never liked Kung Fu stuff. So that's all it was in there. The new one, it seems like they're going to have some comedy in it, so it might be some funny stuff in there. But no, I'm not. I'll watch it, but I'm not going to go to a theater or anything like that once yet.
Well, I think of all genres that really pair well with comedy, I think Kung Fu is definitely one of those that pairs really well with comedy if you know how to do it properly.
Well, the thing for Shang-Chi for me is he wasn't really a superhero. He was just a kung fu guy. It was just a kung fu comic. My friend down the street was a little bit. He was my brother's age, my older brother's age, and he was a friend. He went to school with my brother, but he and I were comic book buddies. So he was big in the comic books. I was big in the comic books, and he used to love those type of comics like Shang-Chi and Luke Cage, Power Man, and Iron Fist, and all those things. He loved those comics. I would look at them, but I'm like, I wanted more fantasy
Yeah.
superheroes. I don't
I
want a
agree.
reality fighting on the streets. Like Luke Cage was fine, but he was just a guy fighting, bad guys, hoods on the street. And
I agree.
at that time, you're a kid, and it was all about they're fighting drug dealers and
This is too real for me.
yeah. I'm like, I can go see that in reality. I want to go fight the Green Goblin or go Kingpin or somebody else like that. That's why Daredevil became super reality like that too. The comic books.
Which is funny because he's like, he strides an interesting line, almost like Spider-Man does, where he's technically like, he's like a homegrown hero almost. Like he's just fantastic enough to still classify in like the super of superheroes.
Yeah.
But he's also not like a super like X-Men sort of flashy hero.
No. Agree with that.
So I the only reason I brought up the Shang-Chi is because it keeps coming up on my my commercials, and I look at it and I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is nor what he does. But I would go and watch it because again I would be going into it like mom, like our mom doesn't have a whole lot of like context for superhero stuff, so whenever we go watch the movies, we'll be the ones being like, oh, this, that, and the other, and she's just like, I just try and stay awake the whole time, and that proves it's a good movie. And I'm like,
yeah, if she
that's fair.
That's a sleep thing. If I look over in a movie and she's sleeping, then I go, it must be slow. That type of stuff, a comic book movie. Speaking of that, there's a movie. They're traveling right now, so they can't. That's why Madeline's not here. But we were going to watch Suicide Squad, which I just found out that is on HBO Max.
Mm.
And we could watch it, but we're not going to watch it until they get home. I don't want to watch it without them, but we'll wait for them. But has anybody seen the new Suicide Squad yet? Because I'm really excited to see that. Black Widow's coming on.
The Black Widow.
Oh yeah, Black Widow on the screen and the movie. I'll watch it when it comes out. I'm not paying for it. I'm not going to a theater. I'll watch it when it comes to streaming. I'm not that thrilled about it.
Now we're in the Tinker's workshop.
But I am for the Suicide Squad. Definitely want to say it. I love James Gunn's writing. Trivia thing. James Gunn, the Scooby-Doo live action movies. James Gunn wrote those. If anybody,
Which one? Just the first one or all of them?
He definitely wrote the second one. The first one, I don't know if he co-wrote. I think he co-wrote the first one, and he definitely wrote the second one.
So the first one's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad.
Both of them aren't bad. They're not.
Let me put it this way: the last one is the worst.
There's only two.
There's like three of them. I think.
No, no. Okay, we went to this. I think talked before. The two that were part of that series. When you say a third one, that was a different cast. So I'm talking about the Matthew Illard, Freddie Prinze Jr., Sarah Michelle Gellar, that cast. They only did two. And then they had. You're right. There was some that they did for TV. There was another made-for-TV one after that.
Where like Freddie wasn't blonde.
That was a different one.
Yeah.
Well, in this one here, he's got like dirty blonde hair. It's not real fake blonde. It's like half grown in.
The other one was completely just brown haired.
No,
they weren't trying.
No, that was one I think was made for TV. That one I don't even know what that one was, but didn't watch that one. The first one was where, like you said, where they fought. Scrappy Doo was the bad guy.
Which I thought was cool.
Yeah, which is it. Second one it was a who even was the bad guy in the second one. I don't remember who the bad guy in the second.
Is that the one with the frog people, or is that the other one?
Frog people?
There's one where they fought frog people.
That wasn't it.
And it must have been the other one.
No, this one here was they fought. What was on the second one? No, because I'm thinking on the first one that was when they went to the island, and that was with Mr. Bean. That was the first one with Scrappy Doo. The second one was it was Alicia Silverstone from Clueless. She was the bad guy. So she had a metal mask on, and then she found some way that she could revive all these. They had like people they defeated, and she could turn them back into life or whatever. And they fought those. Yeah, so she fought those. And some of it was cool because if you watch the old Scooby-Doo cartoons, some of the things they didn't, it never shown in the other movies, but they were the villains from the original Scooby-Doo. Like the one you see at the beginning, the big like Frankenstein-looking monster guy, and the one that has the that has the deep sea diver head on, that one there where the lights come out, which I think that's where at the beginning when they do the and they run across and they hit into the barrels and they pop up in the beginning during the Scooby-Doo song. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where that one was from. So yeah, it was those type of people that came in this one. So I think that was a cool retcon back to that, or not retcon, but acknowledgement back to all those things.
Cameo?
A cameo, yeah, acknowledgement, cameo, callback, whatever you want to call it.
Probably called a cameo.
But it was over.
Depends on how important they were to the thing.
Somebody's coming with a party of one. Cool.
Oh, cool. 1060.
Yeah. Welcome, Mixie. So yeah, we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about tonight. So we don't have to talk about superheroes, movies, cartoons. Like I said, anything you guys
Well,
want
I'm
to
gonna
talk about.
throw the controller back to my dad as soon as we're done with this boss area.
Why? Because you wanted me to win?
I'll throw it at you right now if you think you're so confident.
No, I didn't say that.
I figure you didn't want to be in an area full of electricity.
Why? Because I don't have Captain America to make him magical
You
electrical
told
Captain
me
America.
we couldn't take Captain America because if you're paying attention to the cutscenes, he and Iron Man and Nick Fury went off to go and do their separate mission. And
Oh, I know,
doing
but
this
that's only where I put them in there. I put them in there to get their power, his electrical power.
mission. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did.
I think I did. That's exactly what I was
I don't
thinking.
think you did.
Yeah. So yeah. So that was I tried to watch that movie as we go through.
I also think that the real to life cartoon characters are very hard to sell. You have to like accept a certain level of campiness.
Well,
You can't take yourself too seriously.
I'm okay with that. I mean, I was okay with some of the things they did in the campiness. I wasn't expected to be super serious.
No, my point is that some of them take themselves too seriously. Is the issue
Oh,
that
yeah,
some
yeah.
of them run into. Like you have to accept you are making a cartoon character in the real world, so it should be funny. It reminds me of the things like I saw on with the Tom and Jerry movie. I saw some clips from that.
I want to see the new one.
Well, the thing is, I watched some of the clips they showed of the human characters, like in the trailers and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And like the human characters are playing it so straight, it just feels weird. Like you're with a cartoon mouse and cat, you shouldn't be looking so intense about your job.
I wanted to see
Have
if it's.
some fun with it.
I want to see if there's some funny parts or if it's just a train wreck.
I heard from the things I watched of it was that all the Tom and Jerry stuff was awesome. All the human stuff was stupid.
I will tell you, we have it on HBO Max, so we're going to watch it, and we will report back next time, because Madeline will be out of town, so
He'll report back on that.
I will...
No interest in watching
Yeah,
the movie.
I'm going to drag you in and make you watch
And I
it.
will walk right out.
Yeah. Well, did you maybe, I wonder if it's going to be like the Rocky and Bullwinkle movie. Did you see that?
The first one?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember that.
I don't know if there was a second one. Live action one.
I don't know because I didn't keep up with it, but then
But-
again, you told me that there's apparently a lot more like Scooby-Doo movies than I was aware of.
There was the Piper Bravo was in that one. They made a Boris, believe it or not, they made a Boris and Natasha movie.
Just the two of them?
Just the
The
two of
same
them.
actors?
Yeah, and there was no Bullwinkle in them. I have no idea what it was. It just seemed like a
What
train.
would you have to do after that?
I don't know. It seemed like a train wreck, so I said I'm not even gonna watch it. So I've never seen it, but you guys, if you want to go out and
I thought that was a good adaptation movie because again, I feel that they were leaning into the campiness of it, which you kind of have to do with cartoon characters.
well, I would challenge everybody that's listening. I'd like you to go out and watch a horrible movie, like in these type of genres in there that you didn't like The Steel, like
so
the
he's asking
Catwoman.
you, everyone out there, go waste at least an hour and a half of your life.
Yeah, I know if it's too long, I won't do a 2.5 hour movie and like that. But if make an hour and a half of your life, walk on the treadmill or do
Because
something else.
You don't have enough time that you're wasting already.
Do some squats or something while you're watching these things to keep yourself going. But just do it just to see if it's these things or a movie that somebody said, hey, this movie is horrible. Like I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, like I told you. You told me how horrible it was, and I said, did you watch it? You said, no, because it was so horrible I didn't. And I said, well, I watched it, and it wasn't good. It wasn't...
My issue with that movie is that they all
So
look
horrible.
so incredibly bored.
Well, it was...
They're actors. They should look interested in what they're doing.
The bad part was that it could have been good, but it's, it stunk. But like I told you...
Not mind that it was an adaptation. It was more for me the fact that they looked so incredibly bored the entire time they were doing it.
Well, I think we should all... you guys should vote in there. I think Evie should have to watch it. You watched the last Airbender film? Okay, with my brother. What'd you think? I didn't know how bad it was. Yes, there you go, Spot Fleur. That's what you got to do. Yes, you got to watch it just because it was so bad, and go, all right, this is so bad. Super Mario Brothers. I told you I watched that.
Well,
it
like
was
that
bad,
one, I could see like the charm of it if you want. Like, there's bad weird, and then there's bad just why. And like bad weird, I think is where the Super Mario one falls.
Yeah.
It's like it's a really bad, but so bad it could be good. There are some that are just that and aren't that though.
prefer good movie make. Yes.
Yeah.
That was you're exactly right. That was a bad movie, but it's interesting to watch and go, what were they thinking? So first of all, somebody got the kid that played the Last Airbender and said either he's cute or some kids are gonna love him, whatever. And it's like he was terrible. I mean, the kid was terrible.
It's everything takes so
Yeah.
long to happen.
Yeah.
Like literally everything.
And good, yeah, everything in there, yeah, exactly. The same thing like we talked about before. When they're whipping up their things, it's like 10 minutes of, and I didn't know anything about Last Airbender. It's like, okay, why is this guy
so
doing all this
long.
stuff? I'm like, if somebody had a gun, they would just shoot you, and you'd be dead. While they're going like this to whip up something and throw some dirt at somebody, it's like, okay, this is really dumb. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's the M. Night Shyamalan. He is one of those people that I haven't seen a lot of movies by him, but a couple. He's one that I understand that is either he's on or way off.
He's one of those I would
Always.
define as an artiste in terms of movie making. As far as he has some crazy ideas that either are very informed and just really unique, or they are just so confusing. It's not even necessarily even bad sometimes. Sometimes it's just, why did you make that choice?
Well, he had that one that was the second Seventh Sense or whatever it was, that one there. So he got famous on the big twist at the end. Right? Here's the big thing, but here's the big twist at the end. So his thing was every movie's got to have this big twist at the end that he builds up. And he tried to do a little bit with The Last Airbender and these other movies, and most of it doesn't work because you're like, I don't care about the twist.
So you have to string me along long enough to get there.
And some of it was like, I'm going to reach really far to make this twist happen. And you didn't, Oh, you know what? The other movie you got to watch I think you got to watch. Okay, his new movie called Old Kim. Okay.
I heard about that one, and I have no interest whatsoever to watch it.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
But that actually is because of the trailers. Like the actual concept of the trailers just seems disgusting to me.
What's it about?
From what I can tell of the trailers, I don't even want to watch reviews of this thing. Is the idea is that there's people are stuck in an island where every hour that passes they get a year older.
Okay.
So the idea is that the kids are teenagers in an hour, and then their parents are crones and stuff like that. I'm like, it's a disgusting concept to me that I don't even want to see reviews of it. Because I've seen from a couple of reviews that it's one of those things that they're either huh or no.
Well, see, this is one thing you do.
I don't even want to look at it because the trailers disgusted me. I would immediately
I get that, Evie, but I think there's some people. I'll disagree with you on this one here. Not on that movie. I don't want to watch that movie. But you watch too many reviews of trailers, and the thing I'm going through there going, and maybe sometimes that works, but you might be just listening to an idiot that's got stupid thoughts on what movies are.
I don't do it just on anyone. I have four people I follow, so I know how they. I know what their opinions are.
You tell me I'm not watching this because the review trailer said it stinks. I'm like, watch it yourself and see what you think.
You think that I just go and grab any Joe Schmo? It's no. I look at people who actually know a thing about it, and they'll go and talk about the movie, how it works as the characters, how the movie angles are shot.
I'm not saying Joe Schmo.
How the person's they'll go into the director and their history and who went into it and the actors and anything. These are people who go and research it real movie critics.
Yeah, I know.
So they know what they're talking about. I don't just go and
I don't even know what they're talking about, but I mean, my question would be if you went and if they gave you, my question would be this.
It's only for things that I really am on.
Well, no.
If it's something I want to watch, I'll just watch it.
Here's what I'm saying though: if that person handed you 10 movies that these are my top 10 favorite, do you think they would be your top 10 favorite? And my guess is no. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying.
I'd be willing to try them.
Oh, well, that's I'd be willing to try them, but I go through there and I go, some of these that I look at. Some of these movies, the Fantastic or whatever you call it, Fan Four Stick movie. Did you watch that with us?
No.
No.
I don't think I saw you guys watching it, but I got bored, so I left.
Well, we said Elliot and I.
Needs to move out of the way.
Get away, Fink. Elliot and I said, both said that if it wasn't a Fantastic Four movie, it actually was a pretty good movie. But it's Fantastic Four, so the lore just makes you go, ugh. You can't do this to those characters. But if you didn't have the Fantastic Four characters, if you guys ever watch it. It's not a bad movie. But if you're looking for a Fantastic Four movie, it sucks.
They said the only people who I tend to follow on movie opinions are authors. In that case, I tend to follow them recommending stuff and rather than saying something isn't good, though.
That's good.
Yeah, and well, the thing is like when he goes and talks about this all the time whenever I say this, and the thing is, I only follow people who I feel know what they're talking about. I'm not going to listen just any person. Otherwise, I'm watching it like you would a TV show for entertainment, not for actual opinions.
Yeah, Gravity Falls. I wasn't interested, but multiple authors whose books I like say it was a good blog post when the show ended, so I checked out the show. Yeah, so see, that's a good idea to do.
And though, to be honest, oops. So the thing I have to say though about that also is like I don't know how much I would, because on one hand authors yes I think would know what they're talking about, but on the other hand I don't know if any. I don't know a lot of filmmakers who can make books. I don't think a lot of authors can make movies. So I think it does vary. You have to find one that kind of has a visual eye as much as a written eye.
Yeah, I think so if you do that, that's good. But if you don't have a place to look, you can just always listen to this pod when I'm on here, and I can tell you what movies are good or bad.
Well, and there are a lot of movies out there I do enjoy that some people might say are bad.
Yeah.
I watched The Thing the other day. I saw it and I just watched it for the fun of it. But someone went and commented about the G.I. Joe movie and said it was horrible. I'm like, no, I love that movie. It's a great movie.
The first movie was great.
The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I really love that movie too.
That's a great one.
So I'm like, there are a lot of movies out there I like. I will always go, because one of my things is when I go and comment on things, and I will say this now for here, stream, wherever. Whenever I go and criticize something, I only do that if it's something I personally have experienced.
Yep.
So it's like if I'm criticizing a movie, if I'm criticizing a game, I'm criticizing a book, it's only things I actually myself know. Like I experienced it myself. It's why I might say a movie concept is dumb, or I might say a game looks bad, but I'm like I won't go and criticize it if I'm not personally experienced.
That's good. That's smart.
Well, I think there's too many people who go and will look at, like, for instance, they'll play a demo of a game, or they'll watch half of a movie, or they'll watch the first episode of a series, and then they'll judge the entire thing on that. And I think that's not fair. I think it's like if you went to a book and you read the first chapter and said, well, I know what's going to happen now, so therefore I can just leave the book and review it.
That's right.
And I think that if you're going to go and do something, so I will go. I think the movie is worthwhile looking at it. But I also know what sort of movies I tend to like.
Yeah.
So, like...
We got a question on here.
What do we got for a question?
What's your guilty pleasure movie, Evie? I'll ask you. Like the one you know it's bad, but you don't care.
I have to think about that one. So you go first.
I was trying to think. I mean, I have guilty pleasure movies that I watch that I watch like 100 times. Like I told you, Clueless. I love the movie Clueless.
I don't think
she's all that.
We've called that a bad movie.
That's not a guilty pleasure, but it's like my wife always rips on me because I like romantic comedies. Believe it or not, I do like.
Yes, he is very much.
I love kids rip on me. Everybody rips on me because I like romantic. I do. I like them. I think they're funny. I like I like those. I like a nice romance, funny type of movie. I actually just got one. We were up in Oak Island here in North Carolina, and we went and they actually had they were filming a movie when we were there, and it's coming out in the spring or whatever. We'll have to figure out, or summer or whatever of next year or whatever. But we'll have to figure out what that movie is. But anyways, they just finished filming a movie there, and they were filming one when we were there, which is actually pretty cool because
we're blowing up and we're going to run for our lives.
Yeah, we actually saw them. The one night we went past this one place where all their trailers were that they were filming. And what was there? 40 trailers and probably 60 cars and tents and everything else. And we went by the next morning and they were all gone. Everything's gone. They moved on. But when they did that, there was also a movie, and I can't remember what the name of it is. It's upstairs. I found the DVD of a movie that was filmed in the same town that we were in, and it's a romantic comedy with Juliana Hough and somebody else. I'm like, I'm gonna watch it.
I remember you did that.
I haven't watched it yet, but these guys, they're all ripping on me because I want to watch it.
I'm glad they animated his spit there. I mean, that really adds authenticity to this scene.
That's cool. But a guilty pleasure. I'm trying to think of guilty pleasure that I know is bad.
See, I think I have more guilty pleasure games than I do guilty pleasure movies.
Yeah. So what are your guys' guilty pleasures out there?
I could say one, like for instance, I like watching League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. A lot of people think that movie sucked, and I really enjoyed it. I like watching G.I. Joe. I would call that a guilty pleasure because it's a very good movie. I could watch it a dozen times, but not necessarily a lot of people know about it or enjoy it. I enjoyed. I think it's more the matter of like. I know unknown movies or little-known movies that because you showed it to us later in time, after they had already run their time, They were unpopular.
One of them, I don't know if it's considered a bad. I'm just trying to think in the genre. Have you ever seen the movie Can't Hardly Wait? I don't know if that's considered a bad movie or not. That's the only thing I'd go in there. So that's one with oh gosh, who's in there? Jennifer Love Hewitt and the one dude he was in. I can't remember the guys that's in there. I don't know if that was ever that popular, but I thought that's a kind of a guilty pleasure movie I watch. I think it's good, and it'd be better if you ask your mom, because she could tell you the movie that she thinks is dumb that I watch all the time. She'd be like, "Oh, that's a dumb one you watch."
I'm sure she would.
My wife would know in 2 minutes off that she's like, "Oh, that's a dumb movie you watch all the time." Where I'm going, "Oh, maybe it's popular."
That's the other thing, is that I have my finger on the pulse with games, not so much with movies. So I don't really know what is generally considered a popular movie. A lot of the time, I'll have something and be like, I love this. And it isn't until much later that I realize, oh, wait, that no one else liked that. Okay, awesome. Guilty pleasure that comes to mind is Mia's book series, Warrior Cats. So I don't think Warrior Cats was so huge when I was in middle school. Like, the entire school was on it. So I'm like, I didn't know that was seen as a bad series, be honest. Like, that, for how many books it has and how many every single girl I knew was into it, again, that's my point, is that, like, I didn't know that was considered a bad series to begin with, so I wouldn't have considered a guilty pleasure because I don't know it's bad. I am that way with movies. I can't exactly say a guilty pleasure if I don't realize something is a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's not horrible per se. It has some good moments and just kind of dulls and silly drama between. I mean, what else do you want when you're talking about Warrior Cats besides silly drama? Also, it's a book. Most books are that for a reason, I think a lot of things, especially with animals, it's all about the relationship.
National Treasure, Christiana. No, that's a good movie.
That is a great movie.
That's a great movie.
I love the movie.
I love the second one. Even the second one wasn't bad.
It was not as good as the first one,
no.
But it could have been worse.
Yeah, it was a little contrived. The first one when they had on the back of what was it? Declaration of Independence. That was good, but the second one where they had the Resolute desk, and that was like, I don't even know if there's a such thing as a Resolute desk. That was like kind of weird.
Well, I love the angle of finding all these little clues hidden in history.
Yes.
That's super cool. I like that aspect. It's when they did things besides that I like when it went into a little bit more of the mysticism area that it got a little like, well, okay, I think you're stretching a little bit right now.
Yeah, I'd say that too, but I didn't. I love that movie. I thought that movie was good. Both of them. I thought both of them were good, but the first one was definitely better. Of course.
It's a movie series that was only good in the first one.
Which one?
Ocean's 11.
Oh, Ocean's. So
the first one is good, and all the rest of them are just
horrible.
More ridiculous.
I don't know if we ever got to 13. I saw the original Ocean's 11 with Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra and that type of stuff. We watched that. Well, you watched it with us.
I did.
So that was good.
I don't care for it because I don't like unresolved endings.
Well, that one there, they lost all the money in the original.
Well, that's the thing. They just walk down the street. And you're kind of like, is this going somewhere? We haven't hit the credits yet.
Yeah.
It feels so unconcluded. Like they're like, well, we didn't script an ending. I don't know. Just have them walk towards the camera for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, that was a good. So you got to watch the original one, and then the first remake was great.
The remake is way better.
And then the 12 wasn't very good. I don't even know if we watched the next one because it was so horrible. Then they made a 14 with the female cast or whatever it was.
They could have made that one good, but they just got so hung up on themselves.
Never watched that one, so never could watch that one. So I
have
have guilty pleasures on TV shows that I watch.
Yeah, and I'd say I have a lot of guilty pleasures in games. I think it's just those are our mediums we tend to play with more.
I am a sitcom person. I love sitcoms. Good sitcom series in there, so I will watch those. I'm just about to start watching. I watched the first episode yesterday.
I'm going to give you the basics.
Oh, okay. Hold on. We got to teach me
what to do
here.
This. The idea is that Miss Marvel has gone missing. She went to investigate an underground ring. You have to go find her.
Okay, got it.
So you're going to go investigate an underground crime ring.
Carol can't find. So this Carol Danvers. She is the Miss Marvel, and she's in the black costume, right?
Yes, and this is the reason I am principled hate Captain Marvel in terms of the MCU because again I relate that to Shazam, That's who I always related growing up as Captain Marvel, so when they switched names, it just bothered me. But besides that, I always knew her as Miss Marvel from this game, actually, because I played this a lot when I was younger. So I always, she's Miss Marvel too in Ultimate Alliance 1. She's one of the characters that does carry over. And so I played her a lot in that game too. So, like, I loved her in Alliance 1 and in this game too, Alliance 2. So, and I like her outfit. I just think it looks really cool. I think the black really works, the fact that she's blonde and everything like that. And she looks like a girl boss. I really appreciate that. I don't like the current one where she feels like she has to show how buff she is in every single scene. Because that's kind of the reason I didn't like Captain Marvel as a movie. It's like, it feels like she has to go and prove how intensely powerful she is in every scene.
I have to say,
she should have been a little bit... She should have had any other sort of characteristic. Like, I don't know, she could be funny, or she could be awkward, or... Like, you need to be more than just powerful.
I have to say, in the movie, I didn't dislike the movie. It wasn't my favorite movie in the world. But like Elliot hates it. My son hates the movie.
I don't hate it. I'm just.
And I don't know. I'm like it's okay. It's not. I don't think it. I don't like when the movies they take a comic book movie or any movie in there and they're like, well, let's start talking about what the message is about. To your point, and it's okay that they have it, but it's like this movie isn't about it being a movie anymore. It's about girl power. It's about this. It's about that. Okay, I want to watch the movie.
Well, I don't like when I feel like the director's treating you like an idiot, where they have to keep telling you this is a powerful character. This is a powerful character. This, like, you know what? Actually, I was watching the other day, which I think do you remember the Lara Croft movie, the Tomb Raider movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
First one was great. Second one wasn't very good. First one was fantastic.
I didn't even know the second one existed.
Yes.
The first one is fun. Though I remember watching that when I was a lot younger, before I even knew what Lara Croft was or was a game or anything. Because I was watching a video the other day of one of my movie reviewers when I watched.
Yeah.
And they were going and doing some old movies, and they're like, how does everyone forget about this? This was actually a video game movie that was okay. It wasn't terribly bad.
Oh no!
It was
the first one. The first one was really good.
No, I'm like, he's like, this is a surprisingly competent movie. And the thing that he pointed out was that Lara Croft is, at the time, is one of the most prolific female video game characters. Yeah. She's just a girl boss on every level. And he points out that when they made this movie, she's doing all these big over-the-top stunts. And it seems kind of ridiculous until you're going and being like, but it looks cool, so who cares if it looks ridiculous? The thing is, the reason I bring her up is because she was one of those characters that didn't have to go and tell you, hey, I'm epic. No, she just was. You knew it the moment she entered the room, when she went and had to kick some guy, when she went and pulled both her guns out, when she was bungee jumping from the ceilings. Like, that's all the things she did, wordlessly told you, this was a really awesome lady.
Yeah, well,
she didn't have to say it.
Where I said even that stuff in there, I like that. I love all that stuff in here, but I don't want to hear I'm awesome because I'm an awesome lady. I want because I'm awesome. It's I guess I don't because I don't want to hear I don't want to hear somebody going because I'm an awesome dude. I'm just that's cool. Cool character is a cool character, and I don't see the difference in there, and not that I can't watch it, but I'm just like, when they start going in there going, okay, we're just going to get past this is just a good movie, and these are good characters, and it's well written, and it's well stuff. It's like, you got to watch this because we cast it this way, or, because the person is a female character, or a male character, or a alien character. I don't care. It's just like, good character.
I think what they wanted to do is they wanted to replicate the buzz they created with Black Panther.
Yeah.
Which is another movie that I think is a good movie. I do not think it's quite as prolific as people said it was. I think it's a good movie, in general. Just, let's see, I feel like the big issue... I need to go back up a little bit. I liked her a lot in Earth's Mightiest Hero, so I was disappointed that I ended up disliking her current MCU incarnation. My issue isn't her power so much as that she just feels really arrogant. Fair. I feel the big issue with the girl power trope is that Hollywood loves to tell it when they need to show it. Yeah, that's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
Well, that's, in so many words, that's exactly what I was saying. It's like, I think if the character is a certain trait, they need to show you with their actions that they are that certain trait, not just say that they are.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just...
shot you.
Well, it's just like when you watch Hamilton. Hamilton is a great movie. It's a great cast. It's a great story. Everything about it is fantastic. You really like it. I didn't watch it because I'm like, well, I'm only going to watch this because they're diverse characters. That's not why I watched it. I watched it because it was good. It's great that they are, But I mean, you don't. But they didn't go back and say, well, that's why you have to watch this. They basically said, watch it because the music's great, choreography's great, the acting's great, the story's great. That was why, and the music was great. So that's why you watched it. So I love when they just go out and just let it be for what it is, not because of why it is or whatever. So and that's okay that they have that. But I think the Captain Marvel one, and it was just because of how they, to your point, how they just portrayed it at the beginning. It was like we're way past the. This is just just watch us because we're a great movie.
Well, and the thing that I think bothered me too was the marketing towards it. Was like they were definitely trying. They were essentially saying, "Hey, look at this cool thing we did. Pay attention to it." And instead of just being, "Oh, here's a cool new superhero movie," they're like, "No, she's a female superhero. I hope you noticed that." I'm like, yeah, I did, but what about the movie itself? Are we going to get to that part? And they're like, "No, I don't think you realize she's a female superhero. You need to pay attention to that." And you're like, "Okay, I guess." The issue, and the thing is, I think we'll go into what Spot said previously, is that she's too arrogant. And the thing is, this is the MCU. We're coming after people like Tony Stark and Thor, who all handle being immensely arrogant, but they do it with a lot of charm. They have something to balance it out. They have their flaws and weaknesses. We've seen them at low points. So we kind of are like, at first, they both come on very arrogant, and that's annoying. But once you come to learn more about them and see who they are, see their struggles, then they make more sense. It's almost like then you kind of root for their arrogance after that because you want to see them get back up again.
See, I didn't get the too arrogant part. I didn't really get that because I wasn't looking for it. I was just like, once I got past all the other hype stuff, I'm like, I just want to watch a movie. Why am I like, well, guy's dying?
Because you were letting people punch you.
Well, I punched him back. I was hitting him with my stick. What good is the stick? Okay, see, this was what happens when she makes me play this game.
No, what I'm saying with the issue I have with Captain Marvel is that she never had a moment of vulnerability of humanity.
Okay.
She never, what if you had to say about Captain Marvel in the MCU, what would you say her major traits were? Personality traits.
I don't know. I just said she had superpowers.
That's my issue with her, is that any of the other MCU characters, if you were to say, take Iron Man, if you were going to say, take Captain America, you say, take Thor, you could probably give me, off the top of your head, maybe one or two personality traits that they exemplify. The thing is that I don't remember anything about her.
But I think also, to a degree, though, in the Marvel Universe, I think they were getting a little bit too far with that, too, because I'll say this, is that by the last Marvel movie, I was kind of annoyed with Captain America.
Well,
it was too much. He was too powerful.
Yeah.
He was too. It was like we're going to set up so he is the I can pick up Thor's hammer now. That was just ridiculous.
Thanks for stopping by, Spot. We appreciated all the comments.
Okay. Thanks for stopping. But I don't know if anybody else felt that. But if they had done more relevant girl characters or one that was already built up, it would be better. That's true.
Yeah. Well, it's almost kind of like why introduce this when you could have done the Black Widow movie then. You already had her as an established character.
Yeah.
If you're so intent on making a girl superhero movie, you already had someone you could have done. Why bring in someone new?
The only thing I'd say in there, and I don't care about all those other pieces in there, the biggest thing I thought in there is that, all of a sudden she is by far the most powerful being in the entire Marvel universe.
True. That was the other thing that bothered me.
I don't remember that in the comics. No, even where there was a male Captain Marvel.
She's the only one who can punch Thanos without flinching.
Marvel, or whether it was the original Captain Marvel, or when she was Miss Marvel, anything like that, they weren't.
Gavel down the buttons and do this in order to do your special attacks.
Okay, you do it. I'll watch it. They were never more powerful than Thor, or more powerful than this person. It's the same thing I've always told you about the Hulk. It's like, if you got the Hulk in there and nobody can beat the Hulk, then when he's the Hulk, then what's the point of having any fights? Because he's never going to lose. You can't knock him out. You can't do that type of stuff. So they're no fun. I always hate those battles. It's like, okay, this person is super powerful. Let's go Deadpool versus Hulk.
It's the dumbest looking drawing machine ever.
Yeah. We'll do Deadpool versus Hulk. Deadpool can't die. Hulk can't die.
So eventually they come to a conclusion that's ridiculously silly.
Yeah, or Wolverine versus Wolverine. Okay, you can shoot him, but he will heal and they'll spit the bullet back out. So he's not going to die. So why do I want to watch him fight for 45 minutes?
And what is the entirety of her comment? I didn't read that. Can you read that for me?
Don't really think that there's a single thing she's so far contributed to or has been super important, or even just that you want to be there, want her there. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's a power, not a character, and that's what bothers me about her, is that she doesn't have anything that really that's her. You know?
Yeah. I wish they would have fleshed her out more and made her more interesting.
Well, the thing that's why her movie, I don't hate it, but it frustrates me because they could have done more. Like the younger Nick Fury, he was an interesting character. This kind of thing that they portrayed with her being like having this old friend of hers in the Air Force, and then coming back and realize, like, the fact that they did the fact that, like, she did remember she was originally from Earth, and so she comes back and she's like a fish out of water, and then, like, there's a lot of things that, like, in her story arc that could have been interesting, but it's so devoid of personality that you don't feel like... I never felt for her the whole time. I didn't feel like her confusion of not knowing who she is, her shock of meeting this friend of hers who she didn't remember, like, her anger, like, I never felt anything for her because she never felt like she had a moment of vulnerability. So it's like, when you're writing and you have to have, like, ups and downs. You have to have rising and falling action. And she never felt like she did that. She felt like she was only ever rising. So I didn't feel like anything she did really mattered.
Yeah, well, I guess what you had, Christiana, but you couldn't remember her role in Endgame. You know what, the thing I didn't like in that whole thing is that, like, they're fighting Thanos and all this stuff is going on. Okay, she clearly set up as she can beat up Thanos.
Yeah.
Which she never really does on her own. But they're like, where were you? It's like, well, I was at other planets going around the whole solar system. I'm like,
that's the funniest thing
you didn't
in the
know
world.
that Earth is the most populated one and they're all dying and you...
Well, it's... Never mind, there's a dozen different planets I need to take care of right now. I'm like, one, you are from Earth, so that's your home turf. Second of all, Thanos was on Earth, so maybe if you had gone and taken care of this to begin with, he wouldn't have snapped half of reality out of existence.
That was just such a big plot hole that they... Because, well, to your point, because they set her up as so powerful that you're like,
up the toilet now.
Yeah, well, that's what I did. I beat the toilet up, and then all my guys died. I think maybe I just...
Well, there's a guy in the toilet. You have to make sure you kill him, too.
Did you at least let him finish before you killed him?
He's a bad guy
if
in a porta-potty underground.
If he falls out of there with his pants down, I'm gonna be mad.
I mean, that's on him. I think at that point.
I don't know. That wouldn't be good. So.
I think that's his problem at that point. He shouldn't have been a bad guy.
Yeah. So there's. What movie would you guys say out there that are? And maybe I'll ask you in there. What movie would you say that's out there that doesn't have to be a superhero movie that everybody says is great and you think stinks? Or you didn't think was that good? How's that sound? You don't have to stink, but you're like, everybody always is like, I love this movie. I'll go back and say, in some of the Star Wars lore, I'm not gonna say, so if you're Star Wars fans, don't get all mad.
Oh,
but
I got an idea for not a guilty pleasure, but one thing I really enjoyed that everyone else hated.
What was that?
The last Star Wars reboot movie, The Last Jedi.
That was good.
Not Last
Jedi.
Not Last Jedi. Rise of Skywalker.
I like that one.
Yeah, everyone hates that movie online.
Okay, I'll go with you.
I actually really liked it.
I wouldn't watch it 1,000 times, but I loved how they wrapped everything up.
Yeah, it felt finally like it was done.
I really like how that. But even when you go to the Star Wars ones in there, if they go to what was the Empire Strikes Back?
But gosh, everyone hates that movie online.
Oh, Empire Strikes Back? Then I shouldn't say it because I'm going back. I think a lot of people think it's great. And I'm like, it's just okay. The second Indiana Jones.
This guy's in the toilet.
Yeah, wow.
Beating him up.
Yeah, that's what I do. The second Indiana Jones, what's the second one called? I can't remember what it is. Can't remember what her role. I can't watch it. Star Wars. Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I think also Star Wars is one of those things that, like, even going back now, you kind of have to be like, you grew up on it.
Yeah,
it's a little ridiculous.
I always thought Star Wars was cool. Okay, I never got into the whole, oh man, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Well, if you want to say, like, not movies, but series that everyone goes on about that you can never get into, Star Trek.
The original one?
Just...
The TV show?
Yeah, the TV show.
Yeah, I told you, the rebooted one with Chris Pine, I love that first one. And the second one. Those were fantastic.
Well, because I've seen episodes of the TV show, and I'm like, okay, because I've had to watch it for film class before. And I'm like, okay, I kind of get where this is coming from. I don't find this entertaining. But I guess it's good, writing.
I find it boring and slow.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
But there's people. I think
it's something you have to grow up with.
Yeah, you had to. I mean, I watched it. I never watched it when I was growing up. It was before my time. But I watched it when we were kids. You had 3 channels. ABC, NBC, well, 4 channels. You have ABC, NBC, and CBS, and your public broadcasting, your PBS. So PBS was Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers and that type of stuff. The other ones had your regular shows on, but they had a block that was either after school, like 3 to 4 and 4 to 5, before the 6 o'clock news, or 4 to 5 and 5 to 6. And then they had a block that they were always local that was between 6 and 7 and 8. So 6 o'clocks were your local news and your other news, your local news and the national news. So you didn't have CNN or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then from 7 to 8, there was a block in there. And what they would show is reruns. So when I'm talking about shows that I watched as a kid, like Gilligan's Island and The Brady Bunch, I didn't watch those when they were first on. I watched them all in reruns, just like you guys have probably watched them in reruns. So
I think that most of the shows I watched were reruns.
Yeah, Laverne and Shirley and Happy Days. Those were still on when I was a kid, but I never really watched them when they were first on. I watched the reruns. So Star Trek was one of those that was on those hours, in the reruns. And so that's when I watched it, but I watched some of them, but I never got. I was just like, it's boring. If I didn't have to watch, if I could have done something else, I would have, or watched something else.
Yeah.
But that's when Doctor Who was on too. So that's when I first watched, and the first ones I started watching. The first ones they broadcast they were on our local PBS channel. The first ones they broadcast were the Tom Baker series. That was the Fourth Doctor. So we used to watch that, and that was great.
My favorite Doctor.
And then eventually, we watched it for a long time, and we'd watch that half hour each day, and you loved it. And then when they finished those, they finally went to the Fifth Doctor, and I'm like, turn on the TV, I'm like,
Marvel.
who in the world is this other dude playing the Doctor? I don't like him. But I see over there somebody saying, Christiana, yeah, Gilligan's Island, yes, that was another one of there. Great Brady Bunch, Gilligan's Island.
Now I gotta go rescue her. This is, you know who this guy is?
That's the Shocker, yes.
Is he a Spider-Man villain?
Yes, he's a Spider-Man villain. Yes. Sorry, Spider-Man villain.
His costume looks so ridiculous.
Well,
even for a super villain, it's kind of like, dude, what's with that mask?
Well, that's kind of cool, but when they put him in the last movie, Spider-Man movie, he had no mask. It was just the guy who had the Shocker hand thing.
Well, they briefly mentioned that he was a Shocker. He wasn't really a supervillain though. He was just a dude with a gun.
Yeah, but they could have they didn't have to put a suit on him like that, but they could have put a suit on him saying, well, he had to ground himself.
Yes.
So that's why he has a suit on.
He was a thug with a jacket and some gloves.
Yeah.
It was the stupidest thing ever.
You hit one of my pet peeves in there. I know it's sometimes ridiculous, but these superheroes that were superheroes. I mean, first of all, you got the ridiculousness. There's somebody out there that has these powers and all this other stuff, and they're gonna go out and rob banks and stuff like that. So kind of ridiculous already. So just put them in a costume. I don't want to see every superhero now or bad guy is just put on a leather jacket and now you're a bad guy. It's like,
well, yeah, anyone can say that.
Yeah, the X-Men is like, okay, we can't have a costume. We got to put on a jacket. Now we're all X-Men. I'm like, no, put on a suit. Like the Shocker there. Give a reason why he's got to wear the suit. Electro, like we said, he can't be that. He's got to be in a hoodie and have a blue face. Put him in the thing. Because these guys are supposed to be nuts, so you should wear a costume.
Superheroes, half the fun of them is how colorful they are.
Yeah. I hate this stuff where they can't do that anymore. But, Gilligan's Island, Brady Bunch, Family Affair, The Partridge Family. I've watched all the Partridge Families. I've seen every single one of them. So that was interesting. Interesting that the difference between The Partridge Family, which was on kind of the same time as The Brady Bunch, is why the Brady Bunch kind of lasted longer and you see more. The Partridge Family only lasted because you saw a lot of it because they had songs. Mm-hmm. And they'd sing, that type of stuff. The problem was that the writing was all... After the first season, got all political.
Yes.
It was all...
I remember very much how everything just very much changed after the first season.
It turned into... It was of its time, so it was the early 70s, so it was women's lib versus men's rights and, bigotry and that type of stuff. It's like, okay, but... Not that stuff doesn't exist in some places anymore, but, in a sitcom, it doesn't work. Where the Brady Bunch is just about, Greg's bike broke and he's got to fix the chain, or his hair turns orange. You're like, you can watch that forever because it's silly, but it's nobody's going to care about it or think about the political ramifications of the early 70s type of stuff. Gilligan's Island, I Love Lucy all the time. Yeah, those were both good. I Love Lucy. There was a one after that called the Lucille Ball Show. which went after that.
But say the one other thing that if you want to talk about, like you were talking about the guy voice.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to say something that I cannot watch, and I've tried to because I had to because it was Melissa's favorite thing, but I can't watch I Love Lucy. Her voice annoys the heck out of me. I can't. I've seen episodes of hers. I've seen the movies she's in because Miss Schleusner loved her, so we watch that sometimes instead of social studies. I cannot stand her voice.
I can deal with it, but if you want to,
it drives me crazy.
If you guys have watched I Love Lucy, one thing that is a guilty pleasure, a guilty pleasure of mine, I love watching old movies and old TV shows that have been colorized. You know, when colorization first came out, people hated it, and I can go with them for a little bit because the first ones weren't all that good. It was like blurry. It was like somebody drawing with a crayon, and sometimes they're drawn outside the lines, or the colors were bad, that type of stuff. When they later have technology that it's way better, and it looks realistic. So
I think they also might have been afraid it was going to outmode the technology of black and white, like that they were going to lose the charm.
No, some of them were. Here was what the argument was, and it was for some of it makes sense. Some directors use the shadows and the light. And one of the biggest ones they talk about is the movie called Citizen Kane, which was one of it was a bomb when it first came out, but it became a classic in there. That hey, they use the shadows and the lights in camera angles and that type of stuff and reflections, and they worked with the black and white to make it work.
Yeah, true.
Well, Citizen Kane came out in a time when they didn't have color, so they did that. Other movies and many movies out there, they were just black and white because they couldn't afford color. So it wasn't like the director was like, I'm going to make this comedy like I Love Lucy. I'm going to make it all black and white because I want to be artistic and stuff like that. It was like, no, there was no color. So there are some episodes out there that you can find on the internet. You can certainly buy them on Amazon or wherever. But especially the Christmas episode and that where they colorized them. And first of all, you would never know that it was colorized. You would go, oh man, this was filmed just the way it was. And it is so much more appealing to me and interesting when I can see it in color. Same thing with the Dick Van Dyke Show. They have some of those that are colorized. The first season of Bewitched, they colorized that, and I Dream of Jeannie, they colorize those. Try to watch those if you guys could ever watch them. It makes them so much more interesting, and it makes it feel better. And if you can see colorized movies, I love when they do it. I love when they colorize movies. It just feels so much better to me and more modern. Other ones I'm watching, it's almost like this is fantasy. It's it didn't happen. It didn't feel weird. Even movies, I'm like, it just felt different. And then you colorize them, you're like, oh, that feels more there. Like one of my favorite colorized movies, two favorite colorized movies is It's a Wonderful Life. They colorize that. So if you watch the old one in black and white, if you're a fan of that, I would say watch the one in color. It is really cool. And the other one was Holiday Inn. So Holiday Inn is a holiday movie with Bing Crosby.
It's a good movie.
And it's a really good movie.
You got a comment.
When I mentioned Lucy's hair was blonde and learning that her hair was red. Yeah, it is red. Yeah, exactly.
That also was surprising.
Yeah. Oh, it's like an orange, and it's funny because my grandmother had the same color hair. I think she dyed her hair like Lucy's hair, but she had the same hair. So I always think of my grandmother when I see that hair. But if you watch Holiday Inn, the first time I watched Holiday Inn in black and white, I was bored stiff and I fell asleep. I watched it in color. I'm like, wow, this is a freaking great movie. I could even see some of the stuff in background. I couldn't make it out and the differences in it. And they had dance scenes in there with all these people in these dance scenes, and you're like,
it's a very just I don't know if I say playful or just it generally just is a happy movie.
Yep.
Just because of the dancing and the all these explosive barrels.
Yeah, and
all the dancing and the numbers and it feels it's a warm movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie, and it's usually people play it around Christmas, but it's because it's called Holiday Inn, but it's really about a place where he starts a inn. It's a love story. He creates an inn that celebrates holidays. So not only they do President's Day, they do 4th of July, they do obviously Christmas, they do Thanksgiving, they do Easter.
Well, the thing that's the fun about it is the kicker is that he's trying to hide this one girl, so he comes up with all these different things when he's doing like all these different holiday events to essentially hide her.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want her to go off and be a big star. He wants her to stay here and do it
with him.
Which is actually kind of fun, because then you kind of get to the point where you're like, okay, what's he going to do this time to try and hide her with this holiday?
Yeah, so your homework for one of these times in the future here for everybody is to go watch Holiday Inn, and we'll talk about...
That is one I enjoy watching, and it is better in color.
Yeah, and that's a guilty pleasure. I've watched that a bunch of times, and watch it in color, don't watch it in black and white. And, a little trivia for that, the song White Christmas... Everybody thinks White Christmas was from the movie The White Christmas. No, it's not. It originated in this movie, Holiday Inn, and I think the Easter.
Because that's what the story itself is telling.
Yeah, but that's where it was. That was what it was written for this movie, and that's where it was. And I also think Easter Parade was originally in this movie. So if you got a chance to watch it. It's a great movie. So. That's our little service announcement for that one there.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, it was cool.
It is a good movie. Let's see. What we were originally talking about? Did we ever get to guilty pleasure movies?
I don't think we ever figured out one.
Because the thing is, like, I just don't know what is considered a bad movie. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
I go with more of a guilty pleasure, a movie that you just like watching, that not everybody loves to watch all the time. That's why I always say, not that everybody doesn't love to watch it, but like I said, I've seen...
Oh, I could say one that I probably could say for that. I love watching Maleficent.
Oh, that's a good movie.
I enjoy that movie a lot. And some people really don't like it because they're like, oh, why do you have to go make the villain sympathetic? Or why... I'm like, it's a retelling the story, and it's a good story.
I thought that was really good, and I thought the second one was good too.
Yeah,
first one was better, but
first one was better definitely. But they both are good movies. And the people who get hung up on the fact that, like, oh, why do you have to make this villain origin story? I'm like, it's not a villain origin story. I would say it's not even a retelling. It's like a alternate universe, like almost what if story of Sleeping Beauty. Because I'll be honest, the original Sleeping Beauty puts me to sleep.
Yeah.
Every single time. It's so boring to me because there's a lot of just still shots. There's a lot of just random choral parts. It was the one, like, Disney movie growing up that I was so incredibly bored with, so the fact that there was this other movie that remakes it that I could enjoy, that I can watch over and over again. Sometimes I'll just go and tell my mom and be like, hey, you want to go watch this with me? I feel like watching Maleficent today.
Yeah. Well, I said in Maleficent, or in the original Sleeping Beauty, I think I've said this before to you, I don't recall seeing it all the way through. I think I've fallen asleep every single time I've tried to watch it.
I've literally fallen asleep watching that movie.
Maybe we'll try it, here,
I'm glad you like it too, Christian.
Yeah, we'll have to start watching that.
It is a good mother-daughter movie. I think that made the movie. Well, because that was before. Because then Disney started doing that all over the place. But because I don't remember if it came before or after Frozen, but like that was also one of the things where like, oh yeah, where's the true love kiss come from? It's not from the prince. It's from essentially her mom. It was sweet in a way that felt earned as opposed to just, oh, we're trying to just jump the trope of the true love's kiss. Yeah. I'm like, no, they built this moment. It felt good at the end of the time. It was kind of a cute mother-daughter movie that still had a lot of mysticism in it. Still was following the same story. You kind of understood. I just enjoy it on many levels. It's a great movie. The second one is good too. Not as good as the first one. But they're both really good movies.
We haven't watched Cruella yet. We'll have to watch that. I'm interested to see it. The big thing about Cruella Cruella's the same thing. I don't think I've seen the 101 Dalmatians all the way through either.
I actually did watch that a lot growing up, so I'll have more to go off of than that, because I remember watching that movie a lot.
I don't like, so that animation style, and even Sleeping Beauty they started it with, but the animation style, that is when Don Bluth was the head animator there. So Don Bluth, if you don't know who Don Bluth is, he was the head animator at Disney, who eventually left.
His independent movies better, honestly.
Yeah, started his own movies, but a lot of those, the Black Cauldron, and I think he still did Jungle Book.
He has almost more of a dirtier style to it.
He's got a dirtier style. I like the more colorful ones and more realistic. They had that kind. It was like that 60s, 50s, and 60s, and into the 70s type of animation in there, where it was less realistic, but it was less fantastic too. It was just I don't know. I
It's like
didn't.
you're doing a cartoon, you want it to be colorful.
It's just like, if you ever watched Looney Tunes cartoons with like Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
If you see the ones from the 40s and the 50s, you had Bugs Bunny and they had the well-drawn backgrounds and everything else was there and it was real detailed. When they got to the 60s, they cheaped out and they, like, in the background, they would just make like a weird color pattern, and he would be walking in front of a color pattern, or there wasn't really, like, you go into a house and there's like there's not real furniture, it's like a scribbled couch in the back and it was just like purple, instead of having, in the old ones it would be, here's a couch with flowers on it and that type of stuff.
So Christiana says, I really like the Cruella 2, not as much as but I thought it was good and a fun twist.
Oh, good.
Well, I'm not against watching it. It's on my list. It's on a list of things I would like to watch at some point. The thing is like, I thought Maleficent is an interesting one to do because she's an interesting villain for a few reasons. She became kind of unintentionally Disney's like head honcho in terms of villainy. Like, if there was going to be a bad guy and a villain, or like any sort of villain team up or any sort of thing, House and Mouse, whatever, they were always led by Maleficent. She was understood as the biggest, baddest villain they had. But the interesting thing that I find about her is that, like, again, Sleeping Beauty is an incredibly basic movie. It's so simple, you could easily fall asleep to it. So the interesting thing is that she's not doing a whole lot in it, to be honest. Like, she is the most interesting character in the entire thing, hands down, because all the other characters are incredibly boring. But it's like for as much as she's essentially became Disney's main villainess, she's not doing a lot in her main movie. She actually does way more in, like, the Kingdom Hearts story, and other respective properties and other spin-off shows. So I think the reason her as a movie worked is because she didn't actually have any sort of like origin stuff to begin with. She had nothing really besides the fact that you knew this was the Mistress of Evil who turned into a dragon at the end of the movie. The thing I think is going to be, I'll have to judge after I watch the movie because I don't generally judge movies until I watch them. But the thing I think will be interesting or damaging for Cruella is that they've already confirmed that it does tie in canon to the 101 Dalmatian movie, which they did not do that for Maleficent. They did say it was an alternate retelling. So it means that they didn't have to do what I will call the Smallville effect, where you have a point where the character's going to be, and you immediately jerk hard right in order to align them to where they're supposed to be, which you can see
at the very end of the movie.
At the end of Smallville, they were doing a great thing, and then they decide, you know what, we gotta make him Superman, though, so hard right, we gotta get him back on track. It doesn't matter if we have, like, 10 episodes left of a 9, like, season-long series. Yeah, we gotta get to Superman.
I think I've said in the Smallville, I love Smallville. All 10 seasons had goodness to them. Kind of, like the 9th and 10th season, they cut the budget, so it was a little bit less. And in the 10th season, like you said, at the very end, they just had to make him into Superman, and they completely changed the character, everything else, which was dumb. But up until then, it was great. If you guys have a chance, at least at a minimum, watch the pilot. The
first season is great.
And the first season is just great.
I think I made through season 2, and then after that, I fell off it.
In the first season, even if you don't even like superheroes, it's just a good,
really good
TV show, Friends, comedy, great characters, great writing, just so cool of a
like, if there was the right way to do a, like, essentially a teen superhero sort of show in a way that feels realistic and human and still superhero, it's Smallville. It's impressive how good it is.
And how they thought of, at the beginning of, they start out, now if you haven't seen it, Lex Luthor is his friend.
And it's convincing.
And you're like, wow, Lex is a cool guy, and I really want these guys to be friends, and this is really...
Yeah, it's not like, oh, we're just waiting for them to go and hate each other like they do a lot of the times. It was legitimate. These were characters.
And as Lex Luthor became bad, I mean, you knew it had to go there, but it wasn't so telegraphed, and you were like, okay, well...
It was a slow process.
It took like 5 seasons to happen. And, as you go through it was just like a little bit burning over time, and a little bit burning over time, and, it just... very interesting. Now, who's that? The Grey Ghost?
He is...
Grim Reaper. Okay.
I don't know who that is.
Grim Reaper fought against the Avengers. I don't know where he started, but he was against the Avengers.
Well, considering that he was facing, like, he was the one with Miss Marvel beforehand, and that's probably why he's here.
I actually
So,
the original Miss Marvel comics. I actually read the first whole series of the original Miss Marvel.
See, I only know her in this outfit because I knew her how she related to X-Men. Because X-Men was my thing growing up.
She ended up in this.
I knew her in relation to X-Men for the longest time.
She ended up in this outfit because the first one got torn. That's how she looked just like Captain Marvel with red and blue. Not in the red and blue you see today. It was like kind of like this, but it was red and blue.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can't remember, she was in some battle that got torn, and then she switched to this one.
I just think this costume looks better.
It does.
Because it feels, I don't know, not so formal. She doesn't feel like a formal character, you know what I mean? Like, she feels like the kind that just wants to go and punch a thing because she can, not so much like a military uniform, which I think is where her current outfit leaned too heavily for me. It's too Captain America.
Well, that's another thing. I'll just go back to that Captain Marvel movie. The other biggest thing I didn't like is because her story was the Captain Marvel origin of the original Captain Marvel mixed in with her. So 90% of that story with the Krees and that type of stuff and in the war and that type of stuff, that was the original Captain Marvel story, not her. And then, she was Carol Danvers, she was of Earth and that type of stuff. That portion they kind of tagged on together. So I'm like, I wish they would have done the original one that was the guy, and then had him, move on, and she took over like it did in the comics.
That would have been a better origin story.
It would have been, it would have been. I thought it would have been better, and there would be more to it.
So she feels like she earns her powers.
Yeah, there was a portion to it versus the other one. It's like, I'm like, okay, you just took the other one and changed it, and then you just threw her whole story away, and then they adjusted it too much for me. But anyways. What were you saying about that? What were you talking about?
Well, go back to the thing about with Cruella. The point I was getting to there, and I brought up Smallville in the first place, was the fact that Cruella is confirmed to be canon, so it means that at the end of the day, she still has to be an evil lady who would go and kill puppies to make a coat. So the thing is that I feel that I haven't watched the movie yet, so I don't know if they will miss this or not. But I don't want it to be a matter of, oh, this is a really interesting character, but at the end of the day, she has to be an evil lady that will go and kill puppies for a coat.
Okay, so we're gonna not go deeper in that because we're gonna wait until you watch it, and then you're gonna come back and tell us all about it.
Well, I will watch that movie because I do want to see what happens with it. But I'm just saying, as someone who wants to go,
I know,
and saying that's my only thing that I think that I could potentially mess with the movie. Everything else I've seen from trailers looks really interesting. I love seeing a character's, not necessarily, it's not a matter of like, some people will be like, why are there so many redeemable villains nowadays, why are there so many backstories? It's not that. It's more the idea of taking a story you know really well and telling it in a different way. Mm-hmm. In some ways, it's kind of like when you go and like know something and you know it when you can teach it to someone else. Like, you really know a story when you can go and tell it a different way and people still recognize it's that story. That's kind of why I really like those sort of things. I guess that's also kind of going back into the whole what-if scenarios. Is like the reason those are interesting is because you know the way it's supposed to be. So when you see the way it is differently, then it's kind of cool.
Well, that was my thing that I was saying they asked about the what-if comics earlier. As they went on, they turned into be. Originally they were total fantasy, completely different, right? What if this happened instead of that? Like, one of the ones was, what if like 3 different people became? I think it was Thor. It was like, what if 3 different people became Thor? And it was like 10 pages of each. Later on, it was just like, well, in this battle, what if in this one here, what if Miss Marvel didn't jump on top of that container? It's like, okay, that was just okay. It's the same battle with just one little tiny little. Wasn't like a significant difference. And I'm hoping the series they put on is not like that. Just a little bit of adjustment. I hope it's something that's like, what if somebody was completely different from Captain America, or what if Captain America didn't get frozen in the ice and he lived, and then he had to meet the Avengers and he was 20 years older or 30 years older or 40. What was he? He was supposed to be 40 or 50 years older.
Yeah.
So what if he was 50 years older, and then he met the Avengers?
I think the
that would be cool.
Like, thrive on essentially changing one crucial detail instead of literally throwing the whole thing like in somewhere new. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like the idea of, like you said, like any of the ideas you suggested are interesting to me, but like the idea of saying, well, what if Captain America was a zombie? Don't interest me because that's almost, oh hey, Tales Game 28. Our day is going very good. How's your day going?
Yeah.
Welcome to the stream. We're talking about random nerd comic stuff, and I'm playing Ultimate Alliance 2.
Yeah, our day's going well. Yeah, jump in the conversation. Anything you want us to talk about? We're just randomly throwing, and as you'll notice, we just randomly talk about whatever comes.
But that is kind of our vibe. Yeah. It varies from video games to comic books to everything else.
Has this person been here before, or is it?
I think I've seen them maybe once before.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Potentially, I try and remember. We have had a very random summer, so streaming has been all over the place. But like I was saying, the thing with the Captain Marvel, like a zombie one, I saw a trailer for that. Like, I don't know, that doesn't interest me because of the fact of like, well, that was never kind of an important thing to him. Like, I feel like if you did a good What If series, it would have to be something like change something that you know is crucial to the character and see how it changes,
But something fairly significant. But honestly, I hate zombie stuff. I hate zombies in comics. I hate zombies in movies. I hate zombie everything.
You haven't seen, or maybe you have because you do watch the stream, but I've had so many talks on here about how much I don't like zombies because they are a plot device, an environmental hazard. They are not actually a writing technique.
Well, it's to me again things
they're boring.
They're boring, and half the stuff, and you can't kill stuff, and I just don't care for any of that zombie stuff. I never did. What is The Walking Dead and that type of stuff? I just have zero desire to see anything of that. That genre, the comic books, the everything, just movies. No interest.
Well, the thing is, like, and everyone who's been on the stream, let's see, it's good along it's only two places. Oh yes. Ultimate Alliance 2 is the Marvel Civil War, exactly. It follows that whole plot line. We're at the beginning here when we're just realizing that, hey, Nick Fury did something he probably shouldn't have. And people are coming and attacking us for it, because go figure. But the thing I'll say briefly that many people have heard me say on stream before is that when you use zombies, you don't really want to use zombies. You could use zombies as much as you could use a disaster movie like a giant blizzard, or a meteorite hit the Earth, or something like that. You're not actually using zombies. You're using an environmental hazard that changes the status quo of how people relate to each other. You're not watching zombies for zombies. You want to see how the resistance forms up. You want to see how people react. You want to see how people survive. You want to see the different ways that humanity clusters itself. You're not trying to watch a zombie thing. You're watching how zombies have affected civilization. I mean, you could just do that with the pandemic, for crying out loud.
Who's this?
That's the lady we killed in the last level.
Oh, okay. She came back as Cyborg. She's still DC's character.
Mm-hmm. So I don't like zombies from the idea of, because I've talked before how I feel about different kinds of like gothic monsters and undead monsters. And I don't like zombies just because of the fact that, like, well, one, they're gross. I don't like visceral gore. It's not my vibe. But it's just they're dumb. They're easy to kill. They're just a living virus most of the time, so they're not that interesting to me. It's like, of all the sort of like monster creation things you could do, it seems like the laziest, unless you know how to really write them well.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of them.
So it's like whenever they're saying like, hey, let's do again like Captain America as a zombie, I'm like.
So where are the other ones? So what other ones have they announced besides that one?
There's the one I know they had the Asian card with the shield, so I'm guessing she becomes Captain America, and there's one with Black Panther, I think.
Well, that'd be interesting to see. I mean, that's kind of a what if. What if she became Captain America instead of Steve Rogers? That type of that would be interesting. That's an
interesting concept to me.
Yeah, those are interesting. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I think this could either be really, really cool or just,
It's really going to depend on what ideas they use.
People watching go.
Because it's an interesting concept, but not necessarily an infallible one.
Well, I'll say it this way: like, if you look at when you used to watch that Justice League Unlimited, they did a great job of using a lot of different stuff from the comics.
Oh yeah.
And doing a great job with stories in there. They could have done a crappy job.
That's a great series.
Yeah, they could have done a really crappy job with it. They did a really good job of, putting the characters in there. Oh, you know who else was in that Scooby-Doo movie?
What?
The Question.
Oh, I think I might know what you're talking about now.
It was terrible.
So it was Batman the Brave and the Bold. That's the only other series he's appeared in.
Yeah. It was.
Gosh, that series is weird.
But it was a terrible voice, and again they had him in there. And the Question's interesting. So
I love the Question.
Do you know where he came from?
Oh yeah.
Where?
Are you talking about the Charleston comics, or are you talking about he originally comes from Hub City. He's essentially the Batman without a tool belt.
Yeah. So he was invented by Steve Ditko.
Yep.
Steve Ditko invented Spider-Man. He created Spider-Man. And he created the Question himself, and the whole mask with the gas that sucked it on his face, and
Yeah.
I read that series from there, and there wasn't that many issues of the Question. I mean, I can't remember how many he had, maybe 5 or 10 before
It wasn't a
it
lot.
was canceled, and then there was other ones DC did later on when DC bought them. So Charlton Comics was another.
Yeah, they didn't
So
give him a chance to dodge.
Charlton Comics was like a third. I wouldn't say third because there's more than 3, but Charlton Comics was another group of comics that actually. The comic group in there that wrote comics, and they had a superhero line in there, and they had the Blue Beetle came from there,
Yep.
and as we said, I think I talked to one of the other streams that they had those characters in there, and they actually that's what the Watchmen were based off, the Watchmen comics. Those were all based on Charlton characters.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways,
the Question was based on
yes.
Rorschach was based on Question.
Yeah, exactly. So
they actually had a comic issue where he went and picked up a thing of the Watchmen, and we went and it's like, oh, this guy's a lot like me, and so he tried to do things like Rorschach, and he got completely beaten up. He's like, man, this character sucks. At the end of the comic, being very meta.
Where was that in?
I don't remember exactly what series it was.
No, but it was in a comic, not a cartoon.
It was in a comic. Yes, it was the Question. Essentially, just doing his thing.
Oh.
And.
Well, he basically they had it, and when they went out of business, DC bought them. So that's how DC got all those characters. And then they relaunched the new Blue Beetle, and they launched the Question. They kept the Question the way he was, and a few other people that they went through and did that. So, but yeah, one of the things that was funny that as I'm reading in the comics, the older comics in there. Now I decided, I always have to talk a comic thing. So I'm reading the old Police comics. So Police comics was made by Fawcett. I think it was Fawcett. And in Police comics is maybe it's not Fawcett, but I'll remember who makes them. But Police comics are back from the 1940s again. I'm reading the old issues in there, and this is where Plastic Man started.
Oh, the stretchy guy?
Yeah, Plastic Man, who eventually DC bought them too. So they got Plastic Man with that one. So this is where Plastic Man started, and the other big character in there is Firebrand. No powers, but actually the stories of Firebrand are actually well drawn, and at least the first couple of them are well drawn and well written. Usually, what happens is they start out all these comics back then. They start out with these really good artists, really cool stories, well written stories, and then they switch artists in the middle, and then they all suck and they get canceled. But eventually, completely takes over the comic, which Plastic Man really becomes a Plastic Man comic in there. But kind of interesting. The Plastic Mans were always kind of fun. They're always they're not as ridiculously wild as they got later. But this year,
you got a stretchy guy. You gotta have some fun with it.
Yeah, there's comedy in them. So they're half comedy based and half superhero based. So actually pretty good. But the interesting thing, they have another character in it called 7-Eleven. That's his actual superhero name. He's superhero.
Does he sell you gas?
7-Eleven. Yeah, he doesn't do that. But basically, it's a guy that goes to jail for something he didn't commit. I guess it's like a life sentence or something like that. And he sneaks out of jail at night and fights crime, and then goes back to jail.
I mean, I guess he's honest.
Yeah, so it's weird, but in the whole series, which is interesting, in the comics, I'm bringing up those old comics for a point, is that all these old comics in there, they all have very, very similar things. So each one of them are 60-some pages, 68 pages.
She did.
Oh, wow, you got her.
She almost killed me twice.
All these comics are 68 pages.
We didn't say Manhattan, though. She kind of screwed up Manhattan.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. And from those things, they have about 7. They all have about 7 different stories in them with different characters in there. And there's always an airplane fighter guy.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a aquatic guy. So whether it was Aquaman or somebody else, or the Finn or somebody else, they all have an aqua. Then they have a fighter guy. There's generally a Western cowboy guy. There's a superhero person in there. There's always a magician type of guy.
So dead.
Oh, she's from the movie?
Yeah. She's better in the MCU than she's in this. In this game, she annoys me just because she has an annoying face.
But and then they always have the aquatic guy, and then just the guy that's got a mask and a fedora that's just a detective guy. They all have. It's kind of funny. So it doesn't matter whether it was DC or Marvel or whatever else. They all, and then they have a runner guy, a fast guy.
Mm-hmm.
Whether
Not the runner guy.
Johnny Quick, Flash, the Wizard, keep going down there, all of them.
I have suspected we weren't sanctioned. You have suspected? Nice of you to say so at the time.
These aren't voiced by the ones in the movies, are they?
No, because this came out way before the movie.
Hmm.
This is the Xbox 360. This is like 10 years before that.
That's why I didn't even ask you to make it. So, thanks to you, all this is on our hands. No, not on yours.
So it turns out the mission he took you on was actually secret. He wasn't supposed to do it.
Colonel Fury, since Dr. Doom's death, Lucia von Bardas has bent over backwards to mend the ties between America and Latvia.
Boy, that movement of that mouth is terrible.
I know. It looks so
The other ones aren't bad. That one there looks just like terrible. Wow.
Well, because he's just standard politician dude number one.
Well, you know what the problem on that? The other one is his chin moves.
What we now know.
Thank you, Colonel.
His chin doesn't really move much, so it's just the mouth going around. Okay.
Sir, if I may, this situation is sure to escalate. I can.
We have a pleasant.
Oh, it moves there. Just like, wow, it's like he's got a speech impediment thing.
His face just doesn't seem like it's expressing right.
Yeah, it's weird.
Something like this ever happened, your consciences would be clear. It's on me, and I'm taking the fall for this one. You got that right.
Oh, he's beating up Fury? The robot.
Damn it, Stark. You think these things grow in trees?
I'm sure you got plenty of backups, old man. You always do.
Enjoy your exile, Fury. Wherever you are. We'll just stay here and keep picking up the pieces.
So he got them all in a lot of trouble, and he just disappeared. So now everyone's super suspicious of, well, what happened then if you won't tell us?
You know what? In Evie, you like art, and I think some of the other folks on your thing like art. In the '60s, the actual Nick Fury Agent of Shield comic books.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the artist's name, but he is one that, like, he was almost like not almost a surreal artist, but he had all these completely different exotic ways to draw, and very, very unique ways to draw Nick Fury. And so some of his comics, and I'll have to show them to you, they actually are these really intricate drawings that are almost kind of like psychedelic to a degree. Mm-hmm. That type of stuff, where he would have like one page, it would be, or a 2-page spread of a panel where he's like falling down something almost like an Alice in Wonderland type of thing. I think it's Jim Steranko was the artist, I think, but don't quote me on that, I could be wrong. But yeah, they're really interesting, the art in here, so I kind of found that funny with that series, and that's what it's known for.
I would say probably one for me, I respect probably above all else, would be like comics and graphic novels, mm-hmm. because it is that merging of art and literature, which normally keep themselves separate from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to say, like, if there was ever one thing I wish I could excel at that I would like to learn more with, it'd be like comic making, because it's such an interesting art form that can take so many different ways, because it's combining two of the most like diverse, expressive mediums in writing and art. So like, I like that you can say comics, and it can be, like, ask any person that question, what's your favorite comic, and they probably all have a different picture in their head of what a comic should look like. And that's just fascinating to me, of how many different things you can have. They're all essentially under the same banner.
I never noticed until recently.
So we're going to go into Washington to go and tell people that superheroes aren't bad, because we got to get the Civil War moving, you know?
Oh, okay, there you go. So, when we were talking about this, comics in there, I never realized, until I'm reading a lot of comics right now, how...
Now they're being bombed by the Russian dude.
Okay. I never really realized how much the artists, and their art style throws me off. I mean, some of them you go through and you're watching that type of stuff, but, like, for example, I'm in the 70s area in there, and there was a portion of time where this one artist, and it was artists like similar, drew Iron Man, and the Avengers, and some other ones. And I honestly do not like reading them, because I just don't like that art style.
Yeah.
Very 70-ish looking. I just don't like it.
I definitely think there are a lot of comics, like, because I went through a phase, like, I would look, like, for comics for X-Men, I did a lot, and I would, like, look for ones that, like, because my favorite, arguably my favorite superhero show growing up was the X-Men cartoon. It's great. You want to talk about guilty pleasures? Like I still went back and watched it even as an adult, and it's still a great just cartoon series for superheroes. But so I like looking at like comics that had like Gamma and Rogue were my favorite characters back then. I would look for them, and they would be across all sorts of series. And the way the art style would change from some of them, that it would be like really good or really great, and some of them are just like, why did you draw it this way? It looks so weird. Yeah. Like they would have like huge lips or like just way thin waist or just weird choices in the art style, and I'd be like, I can't really read this because I'm so distracted by the art.
Yeah, that's what these in there. There was some that I just could not. I just don't like the art at all. I just don't like the choices of colors, and the same thing with the background where it's like there's one, like even some of the comics like DC, and when DC did some comics in there, and I'll say the Green Lantern series in the early Flash series, they would have the artists like you have here, and you have the superheroes. Well, the back is just a yellow wall, and the other one's just like a green wall, and it's like, okay, draw some scene, draw some background to this thing. It drives me crazy. I'm like,
it really was just whatever they felt like drawing.
Well, and it was the easiest, and I'm like, okay, there's nothing in here. But like even somebody like who's very famous, like Jack Kirby, who invented a lot of them. You can see the differences in his 1940s, 50s, 60s type of art, and you can generally tell a Kirby type of art. But he got in later in his career when he was in the late 70s and 80s. He took back. He was on Captain America.
They're dead.
Well, he was on Captain America, then he went away a while, then he came back for Captain America. And he started drawing his guys, and if you guys have ever seen Jack Kirby, he shades a lot of stuff in there. He started doing this weird thing where it was
they're not dead, never mind, the thing's just on fire.
It was definitely the Jack Kirby style, and it got so almost exaggerated, like cartoonish exaggerated, that I'm like, I don't like even reading those comics. It's just doesn't even look good to me anymore. It's so exaggerated in his style. Versus like when he did in the 60s and stuff like that, the Fantastic Four. It's just like it's beautiful what he drew, and then he just went too far on that. So
it's interesting. I also I'm just as I'm doing this, you ever think about how like you're doing a movie or something like that? They're always thinking about like, oh, I'm killing innocent lives, but you're in a video game. You're just kind of like, nope, I'm just keep punching dudes that are all in the same exact outfit over and over again.
Well,
this guy didn't load into the scene correctly. He should be higher than that.
Oh, is he supposed to? What happened?
I'm supposed to be talking to him, but he's below the speech text.
Oh.
So clearly that cutscene didn't load correctly.
Well, one of the things that when you said that here about the bad guys, and you never think about it, but there's an outtake from the movie Spaceballs. I don't know if anybody's seen Spaceballs. It's the spoof on Star Wars.
Also a funny movie.
A great movie.
If you've not seen it, you should see it.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, see it. It's funny.
Very funny movie.
That Mel Brooks movie and The History of the World Part 1, if you haven't seen both of those, go watch them. Both hilarious. Just great satire, funny. But I don't think
self-aware.
Yeah. I don't think Spaceballs, this was in the movie Spaceballs. I think it was an outtake. But there was an outtake, and I think it had like Rob Lowe in it or something like that, or maybe it was. Yeah, I think it was either in that. No, maybe it was in Austin Powers. Maybe I'm thinking the wrong one. But anyways, it was the henchman, and it was like one of the henchmen, and at the outtake, it was cut out of the movie. But basically, they're all at like a TGI Fridays, and they're all there to celebrate the guy's birthday. And they're like, "Where is he?" And they're like, "Well, he's working." He can't come. He can't make it. His family's there, and they're all supposed to be the birthday party, and he's working. And like, what's he doing? He's like, well, he's a henchman or whatever for this bad guy.
he was random thug number 5.
And he was at the thing, and obviously he gets killed in the movie, but he never makes it to his birthday party. But it's just like
that's like something that Robot Chicken would do.
Yeah, it's just you're thinking about this thing is kind of funny where you're like, okay, all these guys in here, they don't have families and kids and wives and girlfriends and.
They all have the exact same face shape and the exact same.
Exactly. Outfit. So you're sitting there going, okay, well, there's nobody at home waiting for them to come home for dinner, and because they're over here fighting, and Iceman just froze them and killed them.
Yeah, I'm sure those guys are fine.
Because they're on the wrong side of the thing. But you know,
I mean, I think that's why now the popular thing is to have superheroes that aren't so heroic.
Yeah.
Because they're like, yeah, if these guys weren't on your side, that would suck. Oh, there's Deadpool. See, this is the Deadpool I know, where he's just funny. He's not gross.
Who's that, Cobra Commander?
I saw what you did to those cherry blossoms back there. You think those things grow on trees? And you think it makes me less of a man if I came here for the cherry blossom festival, huh? You're laughing with your eyes. I can see it. Fine. Time for a little boss battle, suckers.
He can teleport?
Yeah.
I know that.
It's one of those kind of things he does just because he can.
He's a bad guy now?
No, he's neutral. But the point is that he's fighting you as a boss battle because he can right now. You have to defeat him in order to get him on your team.
Well, you can't defeat him because he can't die.
No, but that's the thing I like about it is like when I did this, the only thing I knew about Deadpool, again, I learned a lot of these characters like Deadpool, like Miss Marvel from these games. So all I knew is that he teleported, he had guns, he did like swords, and he was the quipping guy like Spider-Man. So my sister loved to play him, and she would play Storm, and I would play Miss Marvel and Gambit. But like this is the version where he's just funny, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I prefer him most. So guys.
I knew I should have sprung for the health meter enlargement I saw in that email. You're probably trying to clear out these terrorists, huh? Can I join the party?
I just like his voice in this one, just in general.
Mm-hmm.
They'll still be here next month.
So, like, when I think of Deadpool, I think of this version of it, which I don't think anyone else is with me on that, because I don't know how many people know this game, but, like, whenever I think of Deadpool, I think of this version of him.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who his voice actor is, but he just, I don't know, it sticks with me. She I don't like because her eyes are so dead.
Titanium Man seems to be behind all this.
You know Titanium Man?
I don't think so.
We'll cover the capital. You get down to the subway and pursue that tin-plated Russian.
Like Deadpool and stuff like that was after I stopped really reading comics.
Well, he's not a Deadpool villain, but I don't think, but he's just here.
I hate the Iceman's terrible. I hate that art.
Now go.
I also don't like that she just orders you around the whole game. I'm kind of like, you know, I could break your face if I wanted, right? But he essentially, I like having him in missions just because he makes puns about literally everything.
Now, you're Miss Marvel. Do you have to be Miss Marvel?
I choose being Miss
No,
Marvel.
you choose. You can still choose.
I can, yeah. If I wanted to be, I could be him, or I could be him, or I could be him. I just like, she's the one that can fly.
You can't be. How do you make her fly?
You press the jump button twice. You just didn't have a character that could fly yet.
So you didn't tell me that.
Well, you had issues jumping once, so I wasn't going to throw you into double jumping. That felt like it would be too much of a...
I wanted to be Iceman and shoot ice at people.
Well, you never switched into Iceman. You just
I don't know how
always
to do
stayed
it.
as one person. I told you before. You hit the button, and you hold down the thing, and then you press the A or B buttons to their special
Okay,
abilities.
you said button, hold down thing. I don't even know what that is.
Hold down this trigger.
Trigger.
Then press one of these buttons.
Okay.
And you
I
can
got
do
it.
your special moves. That's how, like, when I'm with her, I can do, like this one, or I can do, like, that one.
Oh.
The reason you kept dying is because you kept just punching people with a basic attack.
I didn't know any better than that.
Well, I told you, and you were like, I'm just not going to read this. And I'm like, you're going to regret that. And you're like, it'll be fine. And then you're complaining why you're dying.
I was working on contracts all week, so I have no desire to read anything tonight at all.
Well, I'm like, this is, the reason I like this is because it's a good, just...
And I'm not even done.
Game.
I got like hundreds of pages I have to read this weekend.
I'm sorry for that. But
I know. So
this is,
it's not your problem.
you know, speaking of movies, we were talking about Deadpool before. I'm like, this is the version of Deadpool I know best. And this is the one I enjoy because he is just a kind of a pun guy who can go and pull out a sword or a grenade or whatever.
Let's try to get him to say moose and squirrel.
Now he's just ripping on Titanium Man, has a Russian accent. We should get him to say stuff like it's funny, you know.
Yeah.
And the thing that we've talked about before, because we have like, we were talking about before about movies that we liked. Everyone else was like, whoa, that was amazing. Like I think I would put that with Deadpool. It's a good movie.
Did you watch it, Chris?
Yeah. I watched with you, and I also watched it in college. But it's one of those movies that everyone loved, and they're like, I need to watch this again. I need to go see it in theaters again. And I'm like, it's a good movie. It's not an amazing movie to me. Not like something that I would go and say, wow, you broke a Brown on this. It's the first R-rated superhero movie, but it's like I almost feel like it's really funny until they go a little too far. It's like they don't quite know where is bending too much. You know what I mean? Like I think that you can do a lot of stuff with Deadpool, but my big issue with him is that he's really funny until he gets a little too raunchy, and then you're just kind of like, okay, and then he's funny again, and it's like I really like the movie in some parts, and it really makes me uncomfortable in other parts.
Well, I thought, like I told you before, I thought it reminded me of an 80s, 80s had these raunchy comedies. So
Yes.
they always had these things in there where, there was always nudity, you always had nudity. It didn't matter what it was, it could be you could be watching a family movie, comedy, and it's like, we gotta have nudity in this stuff. That was in the 80s, there was a period of that.
80s were bold, I guess.
But it was a, just like to your point, you say go too far. It was like, this is good, but you gotta do. And I felt that movie had a little bit of but we gotta make it really, really.
If we got the R rating, we need to use it.
Yeah, we really gotta, make it super raunchy in there. Which is, I mean, some people might love that. I'm like, and it doesn't bug me at all. I'm not like, well, that prudish or that bugs me. It's just you didn't.
It's like timing a joke. You
Yeah.
can't just keep quipping the entire time, or it doesn't get funny anymore. You have to properly time. Oh, look, he's kidnapping. You see that?
Yeah, Stanley.
Stanley.
Hello, Moto.
I just restarted my phone. I just did that.
So this is essentially just Russian guy in metal suit.
Hmm.
I don't know where he's from, but he looks like, okay, I guess Iron Man clone?
We're gonna look it up in a minute as soon as my phone reboots.
As soon as your phone reboots.
Well, I just
like how there was like a dozen guys in the ceiling just waiting, being like, okay, let the boss do his whole cool flyway thing, then we all drop down on zip lines. Like, that's great. But, that was my only issue with the Deadpool movie, was really the matter of just like, some of it's really funny, but I think this is also the issue that the reason that comedies are so easy to get wrong is because you have to, like, it's like saying you have a lot of salt to season something with, and it will make it taste better than the blandness it had before, but too much is just unpalatable. You don't want too much. So I think you need to time
So you think they are, comedies are like salt. That's Evie's new quote. Just remember that, guys.
Oh, no, if Spot was here, he'd be quoting that. Every time we do the things, Mally says a lot of random things when she's gaming, so he just quotes all the random things she says.
Oh, so I would have read this. Titanium Man first appeared in Tales of Suspense number 68 and was created by Stanley and Don Heck. So he would have been fighting... well, if he's in...
So you actually would have known about him. Maybe you just haven't gotten to him yet.
No, I already read that. So that was where I think it was when I didn't like the art.
And maybe he didn't impress you.
And I didn't love those the Iron Mans. I just didn't like the art. And they had this other guy that was Jasper Sitwell. In the movies they had Jasper Sitwell. That wasn't it. Jasper Sitwell in the comics was a guy that worked for the government, and he was always trying. He was like I was trying to figure out who Iron Man was, and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And well, it says he's like read articles like the Crimson Dynamo. He wasn't the Crimson Dynamo.
No,
that's somebody else.
Yeah, that's someone else.
Well, they're talking about this is they show the one and they say here's the thing he was, and then they're talking about they start talking about different characters in there. But yeah, he was in there.
I don't like that, Deadpool's making comments about product placement
So
now. I'm like, I like when Deadpool is more forced, and I think he works better that way in a comic or a video game. I like when he's more fourth wall breaking than just, I'm going to do everything to the nth degree,
Yeah, so this is I'm going to turn this down a little bit because it's going to play. I don't want to play somebody else's YouTube channel in here. It's showing... You know what? My pet peeve here right now. Every time I go to I just want to see a stupid little video that's like 2 minutes long, and then the first thing is like, here's some video, here's something you don't want to see.
Have 2 ads, actually.
Yeah, here's 4 ads that you do not want to see anything about. Oh, so... Oh, it's Just saw the we just had some of our fans just send us a thing.
Oh, nice. What are our fans saying right now?
Oh. Well, I hope it's my fan. It's my wife, so I'm always hoping she's my fan.
I think so. Whenever we're
she
streaming,
found the
they
VHS adapt heading to bed, but it keeps dropping and spinning wheels. Glad you're streaming with Evie. Yes, we are. Cool. So she found. She was looking for something from me, and she found it. So awesome. So it's good because it saves
I like
me.
how these guys pick up the explosives and they explode in their hands.
Saves me $30.
Not just another.
We have a relative that did all their movies on VHSC. So I don't know if you know what VHSC is, Evie. Do you know what that is?
Is it different than VHS?
Yes, it is. You're so smart.
And I took it easy.
VHSC is VHS compact. So here's where the first titanium is. They were stupid. This is the one. So this wasn't bad art. This was Jack Kirby then.
He's green.
Yeah, that was Jack Kirby. So
That's
we're watching
weird.
this thing in here, a little YouTube
So he is
searching
fighting
video.
Iron Man.
What?
So he is fighting Iron Man.
Yeah, so it was Iron Man.
So I was like, he looks like an Iron Man villain because it seems like the only people who fight Iron Man are people who are essentially being Iron Man. You know.
Yep.
Also, and as long as we're talking superhero movies, your thoughts on the Mandarin plot twist? We're talking
In the
Iron Man
comic book?
villains, in the movie where he was like they were selling him as the Mandarin, and then he's like, oh no, it was an actor. It's actually this other guy who did.
That was dumb because I think they
had his
wasted.
fiery abilities.
The Mandarin was a big, not that you'd say you love him, but he was a big Iron Man villain, one of his only. Iron Man didn't have, like, go name all his villains. There wasn't a ton. So why they used him up that way, I don't know. They could have used him more, like a real Mandarin.
Well, he had a whole, like, in the first game, which I told you was just chock full of cameos. There's a whole section devoted to the Mandarin, because you have to go and get one of his artifacts. He's not originally attacking you, but he also doesn't really like you in his house. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you don't have... It was one of those supervillain understandings where he wasn't originally going to hurt you until you went and took his stuff, and then he tries to kill you. So
you have all the rings and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was like you needed some... It was like you had to visit a couple of different major, like, locations in order to get items to beat Dr. Doom. And, like, you know, one of the things you had to steal was from the Mandarin. And so you're like, well, just getting it out. He doesn't... It's kind of like how, like, Ra's al Ghul doesn't really care most of the time when superheroes are messing with him. Because he's like, well, whatever, I'll kill you later. But it was one of those things where it's like, well, if we just get out before he knows we're there, we'll be fine. But surprise, one of the other villains you were fighting, it was Loki or some other sorcerer person at the time. He's like, oh yeah, hey, Mandarin, these dudes are coming to steal your stuff. And so... it wasn't such a quick, easy retrieve mission. I like Ultimate Alliance because it switches you between a lot of locations. Like, you're in the S.H.I.E.L.D. Helicarrier, and then you're in the Sanctum Sanctorium, and then you're in the Inhumans base, and, like, there was a lot of superhero details in that game. It's just the game mechanics are a lot harder, and it's a lot longer. So there's a lot of, like, dead space in between levels.
Well, I think this is other stuff. Like I said, I don't play a lot of games. I think it's just really cool that, you know, from looking at something like this, that, you know, how they have all the graphics laid out and all the different places you go. I think it's impressive.
Well, it's kind of like the reason I love Ultimate Alliance so much, and Justice League Unlimited. It's like, this is literally the way I learned about these heroes. It's like, I've never read a comic with Miss Marvel. I've never read a comic with Deadpool. There's other ones in here. They have, like, Songbirds in this one. They have, Moon Knight I learned about in these things. Like, there's so many heroes that I learned about in this, from these games. Just because I was playing as them or with them and stuff like that. That's the reason I love these games. Because they were my introductions to these heroes. And that's why I like these big collaboration games. It would suck whoever's car that is.
Yeah. Well,
but I like that.
Well, I have to say, Evie, I'll tell everybody on this stuff. I've given you lots of comics, and I don't know why you don't read them, but you could read a lot. I will pick out the must-reads. How's that? I'll say, you got to read this, like, not the whole comic series like I've read, or, you know, because I haven't read all of them, but, some of them I just read because I do it that way. But some that are like, you should read this little arc of this comic. Like, there's a Fantastic Four arc that I'm reading right now, where Galactus is coming back to Earth and he's looking for the Silver Surfer, and they're fighting him. And honestly, it's like 10 issues. I'm like, I'm just so tired of this storyline. Just finish it already. So I wouldn't give you one like that. But there's a few that I'm like, you should read this one, and that type of stuff. And other characters like Moon Knight.
The obligatory Stan Lee cameo.
I have Moon Knight comics, but I've never read them.
Senator Leva from New York State.
Maker.
Good to meet you. You've done us a great service. You heroes are okay in my book. Maybe we should put this registration business on hold.
That sounds like a great idea, Mr. Senator. I know the press might be pushing you folks to act, but...
Hey, I'm not in it for the headlines. I just want to do my job. Well, best of luck trying to catch that maniac. Like our state motto says, Excelsior.
That's cool.
Don't I know you from somewhere?
You don't look like the voting type.
Yeah, whatever. Hey guys, I'll take these pencil pushers back to the Capitol. Give me a call if you want to hang out again.
But I was like, even here before like the Marvel movies were things, there's still Stan Lee cameos everywhere.
That's cool.
I think that, and I didn't even realize who that was for a long time. And I'm
You
like,
didn't
oh
know?
no, well when I played,
I want to say
I
this.
was a lot younger when I played this game the first time.
I think his real name is Stanley Lieberman. I think it is.
Yeah.
Is his real name.
Last
Or
time, it was
Leibowitz or whatever. And because he was trying to, he has pen name, but he was also back then he was trying to hide that he was Jewish.
So it looks like we have a comment there from Christy.
It says, one like hero I've heard about that sounds super fun is Gwenpool, which is essentially a normal girl that gets transported to the comics, and her superpower is knowing the powers and identities of others. Here's really comical. I've seen the Gwenpool ones, I haven't read them, but yeah, they seem like they're pretty cool.
So the thing that I think is funny about this whole thing, like we're beating Titanium Man up. We totally saved the day. You know that's going to happen. But somehow this leads into the Civil War arc in a way I don't understand, because like, yep, we need a Superhero Registration Act. I'm like, because we saved your butts? How is... What? He also can turn invisible, apparently. I don't know why that's an ability, but... Yeah. But it's kind of like one of those things where I'm kind of like, hey, we saved your butts. They're like, well, we're still going to go and make you register and be criminals anyway. I'm like, it's funny how often that sort of plotline follows in superhero things. It's a constant thing in X-Men, where like we go and register all the mutants and stuff like that. Like it's a thing that happens that causes the Civil War. It's like these things were like, well, maybe we shouldn't trust these people.
I always found the X-Men, that storyline about the mutants, and like you're saying, that whole thing of, you can't do this with the mutants, and mutant registration, and all that other type of stuff in there they had with that. I always thought that was dumb. I never cared for that. I just wanted them to be superheroes, right? I get the other conflict they try to put in there, but they played that card too much in the comics.
I do like the fact where they go and point them out as the fact that like a lot. I like the angle of them saying that since they're treating them essentially as another like race. I like the fact that they go and point out like their kids who will be like, hey, I realize I can do fire for my fingertips. How would that affect your development? Like, I like the idea of these people who can become superheroes, or they could become supervillains. Like, it's that untapped potential I like of.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, but it's versus the.
I will agree that they do probably the same plot lines far too often.
Yeah. They're out to get us because we're mutants and stuff like that. And
well, it kind of also gets predictable after a while. There's only so many ways you can tell the same story. I like the idea of mutants in the way I like the idea of Avatar characters. Is the idea of, well, it could turn into anything. You don't know. You know? This person, who knows what they could become. That's cool. I like that he's making this whole thing, they're going to pass this because they're cowards. I'm like, well, yeah, so the ideal thing to do was be for them not to do that, right? But yet they'll do it anyway. And at the end of the day, I'm like, so, we just saved your butts.
I think
still going to make us all criminals.
I think
That's
this whole they kind of played it okay in the movie, but I think this whole superhero registration stuff was dumb too. I didn't like the storyline.
Well, I like it in this game because they play it as it should. It's a really dumb idea.
Yeah, which is okay, but I mean that was the whole thing of the government can take over and that type of stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Well, and the reason I don't like it in the movie is because they don't play it correctly. It's a very I'm going to relate this to a game I play that we've talked about on the channel a lot before, which is Fire Emblem Fates.
Yeah.
And the thing is that you have this whole idea that you're someone who's in the middle of two warring countries, essentially. Yeah, go ahead and do your thing. Is he always gets his hand stuck in the thing. I'm just like, great job, dude. But the thing that is, like, you're a person who's essentially neutral, who's between two warring countries, right? And so one country attacks the other, a whole like war thing starting, and you have to choose which side you go on. But they don't leave it very ambiguous which is the quote-unquote good side.
Yeah.
Like, it's always thought of like, well, this is the dark country, this is the light country. If you choose the dark country, you're essentially making yourself a villain. You know, it's like they both have stories to tell, and they want to tell it from the idea like, well, they both have a story, they both have a side. The way that they did the Captain America, Iron Man, Civil War in the MCU was they made very clear, okay, the Registration Act is dumb. Like, it's not a good idea. In fact, it's all a big plan by this big, what was it, the Zemo, I think it was, the villain? Like, you clearly know which side is right, yet they continue with the conflict anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you know that they're trying to do the whole... They do it better in this game, because they point out that both sides have a point with Iron Man and Captain America. But in the movie, they're like, no, Iron Man just doesn't have the full picture, and he's honestly blinded by revenge. It's like, he was never in the right to begin with, so where did the Civil War come from? It seems makes the whole fight seem
I don't want to talk about the Civil War, because we talked about the movie, and I just go back and go, how... The biggest issue I had is how Captain America turned away from the whole American thing so quick. And, you know, because my friend. And then...
Well, that's why I like it better when they do it in here, where they're talking about, like, no, they're facing the issue of, well, some of the heroes are going to, like, they're viewing the heroes as a community.
Yeah.
But, they're pointing out the whole fact that, like, if they pass this act, it's going to cause a lot of superheroes to resist, and a lot of them will go along with it. So, like he said, it splits the whole community down the middle. So you'll have some who want to go with it and some who won't. As opposed to just the conflict in the movie didn't seem very important. Here it seems like it's an important thing.
Don't you see where this is headed? All it's going to take is one more slip-up by anyone in a cape, and we'll be lucky if registration is the worst they do. They could just turn us all into criminals, hunt us all down.
No, they won't, Tommy. Not in my country.
Also, I like the fact that his like limo driver knew to stop right there so Captain America could get out and walk angsty.
Interesting. I've never actually watched you guys play this game. I've actually never watched, for all the people on stream, I never watch anybody games all the way through this much.
So this is a group of like young superheroes who go and are part of a TV show where they fight supervillains.
Don't bother trying any of your stupid exploding tricks.
Oh, baby, don't you even know? You're playing with the big boys now.
So on live TV, he has destroyed a 5-mile radius.
He's a bad guy or good guy?
That's a villain. But the point is because they were broadcasting it on live TV because they essentially made superheroes into like a TV show.
Yeah.
So everyone just saw that. Like, this feels like more of a trigger for the Civil War conflict to happen.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, this would scare people. It would cause a panic. It would cause, you know, superhero registration stuff to happen, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I just feel that the whole plot line of it is played better in this game, which came way before the movie, because it feels like it did actually build. Like, this was coming, and they all tried to stop it.
I'm sorry, was it not clear I was giving you an order?
You're asking me to arrest people who risk their lives for this country every day.
No, I'm ordering you to obey the will of the American people, Captain. Either you help us bring them in, or we'll bring you in.
Weapons down, gentlemen. Or I...
Break guard, now!
Like, oh yeah, this is Captain America. Did we ever think we had a chance? Convenient plane.
Keep us moving, son, if you want to stay conscious.
You idiot. We were trying to save lives.
She just has no expressions on her face, and that's so weird.
Captain America. Now every superhero who disagrees with the act suddenly has a leader. Maybe we should hold off until...
That won't be necessary, Mr. President. Registration can go forward as planned. We'll take care of Captain America.
I go and say...
At this point in time, do they know Tony Stark's is
yes.
Iron Man? Okay.
With the passage of the Superhuman Registration Act earlier this week, superheroes around the country are being forced to choose a side.
Now, who's this
They
guy?
register with the
He'll
government to
choose
uphold the
himself in a
law
minute.
or become part of an underground resistance movement. So far,
Can you believe this is really going down? The act kicks in at midnight, but word is S.H.I.E.L.D.'s gonna be here sooner than that, taking signatures. Or prisoners. I want to talk to Cage about it, but he's too busy arguing with Mr. Fantastic over there. Maybe you can break into their little powwow and get some sense out of him.
I can't remember what was his name. He's someone who was inspired by Captain America because he fights with you later on.
Oh.
But the reason I like the way they do this better is.
Understand your skepticism, Luke, but you have to believe me. I've crunched the numbers, and we absolutely can't rebel against the government on this. If we do,
It'd be any worse than burning the Constitution.
you're exaggerating. This is a temporary measure. Once things settle down,
I ain't buying it, Reed. And I can't believe somebody as brainy as you would.
oh, hello. Good timing. Perhaps you can talk some sense into Mr. Cage here. He and Iron Fist seem determined to get arrested.
He's the one who needs a reality check. But good luck getting anywhere with that.
The reason I like that they do it better in this one is because they show you the perspective of a lot of different heroes. This isn't just a Captain America versus Iron Man fight, which is essentially what the movie boiled down to.
Yeah.
There's two of them having beef with each other. Like this, what they go and show you, this is a thing that affects a lot of different things, and for good reasons. Like for instance, you have a lot of things like Cage and Iron Fist and Spider-Man who don't want to register because they're like the ordinary like neighborhood heroes. Like they've always been like the vigilante kind. While you have the other ones who are like Mr. Fantastic, who's the more like numbers crunching guy, Iron Man, who's already open with his identity anyway.
Yeah.
Like they're fine with it, and I like the fact they show that it's not a simple issue to deal with. It's like it's complicated because there's heroes that come from so many different walks of life.
Yeah.
So they're all going to take this issue differently, and it feels like this is an event that's important.
Sure you can get us to Cap without leading them right to him?
Got it covered. You just stick with me.
Iron Fist was another one I learned about through this
They're gonna have
this
to
game.
make their own choice. Stark, Richards, and Songbird are obviously a lost cause. But me? Well, speak of the devil. You folks made up your minds yet? From what I hear, they ain't gonna give you much more time to sit on the fence. I ain't no government puppet, and I assume you feel the same way. There are worse things you could do than risk jail time to do the right thing.
I also just like watching their mouths move.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it. We're gonna need some real heroes to get through this thing.
So so you just chose to be on the
No,
other
I haven't
side?
choose. Right, this point is literally just to let you see people's perspectives from both sides.
Yeah.
But you can choose whichever side you want. Which side would you want to choose? Bye, Christian. Thanks for showing up for the stream. We
good
appreciate
seeing
it.
you. Well, I'm actually going to cut out here. Also, I'm going to let you finish up.
Well, what side would you like to take? If we should pick this up again. Would you be the Register or would you be the Rebel? Would you go? Which side would you choose?
So what does register mean? I just register?
You register with the government, and that means it's your job to go and hunt down all the rebel superheroes. If you rebel, your job is to go and evade the registered heroes and find a way to get rid of the Registration Act. Essentially, just keep showing that you can be a hero without the government's help, so that hopefully they repeal the
We're
act.
gonna rebel. We're gonna rebel.
When me and Mallory always played this game, we went through registration once, and then we rebelled every other time afterwards, because it's way more fun to rebel and be like, but this isn't right, dudes.
Yeah.
Especially with some of the stuff that the registration people do later on, but I really like the fact that they go and show you essentially how this divulges from this issue into both sides getting more and more desperate to the point where a third party could come in and just sweep the whole place without them realizing because they're too busy fighting.
Okay.
I appreciate that. It's better done Civil War than I've seen in a lot of places.
Cool. Well, I'll let you finish this up the stream. I'm going to go make sure the dogs are fed and...
Well, they should be, I think.
Well, in bed. Well, Lucy
bed,
likes her little snack there, so I'm going to go double check on that type of stuff.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Yeah.
I'm probably not going to be on this too much longer. I'm just going to go and talk to a couple characters, and then we'll choose our side.
Go right ahead. So thanks everybody for
Everyone say goodbye to the bald host.
And I will, because Madeline's out of town, so I will.
He'll be back here next Tuesday, next Friday.
Filling in next week. I'm like the guest host. So
Madeline's practically the guest host at this point.
Yeah, if she keeps it, she's gonna be that way. So we'll see you guys. Thanks for all joining in, and please tune back in Tuesday. We'll have something fun. Let Evie know what you want us to talk about. We'll talk about anything you guys want. We could talk about.
Or you have any suggestions for games?
Movies,
I'm always open.
Games.
If there's anything I have, I'll use.
Yeah, if there's any games in there you want to see.
I don't quite have the budget to buy any game that's hot in the market, but if you have anything that you like to play, especially if it's something of an older quality, I can see that I can figure something out.
Cool. All right.
Okay, let's see here. So I'm gonna be entirely diplomatic for all these, so I can just hear what they have to say.
I bet you could do the same. Anyway, think it over. But like I said, you better hurry up.
So essentially, the idea is that all the characters that we actually have the means of using at this point, so all these characters are all characters that could fall either way. They are characters who don't stand very firmly on either side of the law. I'm gonna switch him out because I don't really care about him. Let's pull Deadpool in. Like Miss Marvel could go on either side because, well, one, she does do government things, but on the other hand, she doesn't like people controlling her. Gambit's been on both sides of that. Like one hand, he could go and be following along with that, but on the other hand, he could also be like, well, I've seen this happen to mutants before, and it didn't end very well, so let's not do that. They all have different perspectives on it, and I just like the fact that they do this pretty well. And I think the reason this works is because, again, they treat superheroes like a community. There's a lot of them. This is a big choice that will change everything. And I like that they really don't underplay that.
In the worst case scenario, we'd find ourselves in the equivalent of a superpowered civil war.
Well, that's going to happen anyway.
They're so busy fighting each other, the criminals get a free pass.
Yep.
Exactly. That's where you and the Thunderbolts would come in, Melissa. We need you to help S.H.I.E.L.D. keep crime under control while we focus on... Oh, hello again. I'm glad to see you're not going off half-cocked like Luke, Danny, and Eli over there seem to be. We need cooler heads to prevail at a time like this. There's morality and there's practicality. I may have personal issues with the Act, but I also have hard evidence that if we rebel against it, the entire world's future will be imperiled. So, there's really only one sane choice here. Very good. When S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up, they'll have the paperwork ready for you. Just do what they say. I'm not sure that's been determined. Incarceration, most likely. Those who violently resist might accidentally be harmed.
But I like how it's violently resist, accidentally be harmed. Yeah, when is violently resist ever good with superheroes? Because it doesn't matter even if they're just a regular dude. They all know how to break bones.
That's classified, I'm afraid. We can speak more freely about it once you've registered. Now, if you'll excuse me, Songbird and I have some logistics to discuss.
The only one on the... Because the thing is, we go between it is that, the only one that I, prefer on the registry... Because there are certain heroes that'll be locked to each side. Which is important. I learned from Iron Fist in here. I'm like, oh, I like that guy just because he's got a dragon on his outfit, because I like dragons. But, there are certain heroes locked to each side. You only use Captain America on one side, you only use Iron Man on one side. The only one I like on the registration side that I don't have access to is Songbird. I don't know where she's from. Again, like many characters I learned of in this game, I have no idea where she's from or who she is or anything like that. But I thought her powers were really cool. She has sound-based powers, I think. It's almost like a sound psychokinesis sort of thing. So she can make these sound wave, energy wave things to fly and shoot pulsar blasts and all fun stuff. I really don't know a whole lot about her. But she's the only one on the registration side I like that I don't have access to. There isn't anyone necessarily on the Rebel side that I really like either, but I just generally like their storyline better. Because it's way cooler to be an underground resistance movement trying to repeal something that we all know is wrong, as opposed to the side that's well, we're just enforcing this until things get better. It just feels like you're putting a band-aid on a bullet wound,
Hey,
who else do I need to talk to?
Times, huh?
Spider-Woman is arguably the most sensual superhero I've ever seen in these sort of games too, because she has the most seductive voice.
I can. The government's always wanted to take us down a peg. Now they see their chance. But Cap showed us what we need to do.
So I think she's one of the rebel ones too.
If we had time, I'd tell you some stories about S.H.I.E.L.D. Just trust me. World peace isn't at the top of their priority list.
Yeah, we've always known S.H.I.E.L.D. has questionable issues.
Between you and me, I hope so. I have no intention of registering. And we're gonna need a leader. Open your eyes. Powerful people are using a tragedy to take over. Cap sees that. If you had any sense, you'd see it too. Look, personal freedom is what Cap's fighting for. This is your choice to make. I know which way I'm going. Hopefully you do too.
I like how all of them have like some good like motivations for what they're doing. But she's like the most sensual super hero ever because like literally one of her powers is like pheromones that can literally like attract people and cause them to do whatever she wants. Like that's kind of interesting. I like the fact that I also thought the Spider-Woman and Spider-Man had anything to do with each other. I'm like, nope. Just convenient theming. There's literally no relation to them whatsoever.
For now, yeah, it is. Stanford would never have happened if superheroes had proper oversight.
Now he has a good point there too. Like they shouldn't have done that.
Cap threw any chance of peace away when he put those S.H.I.E.L.D. agents in the hospital.
Like I like that they're both having a point here.
Reason to be paranoid than I do. I'm telling you, this is the way it's gotta go. Don't be so sure. There's no way the cops or S.H.I.E.L.D. would have handled it with a slugfest in the middle of a suburban neighborhood. Look, I can't make the decision for you. Just remember, we're supposed to protect people. Signing up for training and accountability is the best way to do that.
But like, I agree with his point. Like the one thing I will say with the whole like Register versus Rebel thing is that they do have a point. You can't just have like I said, when you have things like mutants going around, you can't just have random people that just are going around punching things because they feel like it. They can't just be like, oh, I put on a mask, now I'm a superhero when I have no training. Because people could get hurt. And I really, I think that's an interesting thing to go on. I like this game a lot. I think this was my first and kind of only introduction to the Civil War timeline before the Marvel movies. So, yeah, fun time. So here's the thing. So if I go to Rebels, I get Captain America, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. Then I go with Register, I get Iron Man, Mr. Fantastic, Songbird. So I remember when we played this game for the second time when we did the Register option. We did the Rebel the first time. The second time we did Register, we're like, oh, we're just secret agents that are playing as the Register people. Now we're just going to help them in the end. You know? Like, my sister and I roleplayed that the entire time. It was actually a lot of fun playing it from that perspective. Because it's always more fun to rebel. Because who doesn't want to do this? Superheroes are all about escapism. Who wouldn't want to go and just be like, you know what? Screw all this. So there's two ways you can do this. You can either go, besides just Register and Rebel, you can go and register and just sign the papers and you call it a day, and then you got to fight a boss fight because, you know, some people are like, hey, what's up? You know? But the way you rebel is you either go and like start beating up the guards. And the funny thing is that you can actually beat up like all the guards, except for one, and still go and register and sign the paper and still register. It's really funny.
I'm glad to see you're willing to meet with me on civil terms. Once you register, I'm sure we'll have a productive relationship. The paperwork is right here. Step up and sign, please.
I just don't like her because she's so stiff and she has no facial expression. I'm like, how am I not supposed to see you as a jerk?
With Stark tech and S.H.I.E.L.D. muscle backing you up, count on it. So, what's it gonna be, heroes? Just sign up here and you'll be bona fide law enforcement agents. You're not looking to start trouble, are you?
But maybe I am. So the thing is that you go and you can either fight these guys and do the
That's
whole
close enough.
the rebel.
You pull a stunt like your pal Captain America did. Just sign the damn paper.
I like that they have like a wall around her, but it's like, these guys, they're fine. They're gonna be okay. But it's like, so you can do one of two things. You can go and say to her face that you're going to rebel, or you can just rebel by fighting people. But the funny thing is, if you don't kill everyone in the room, you actually can choose to register in the middle of a fight, which I think is fun. But anyway, we're gonna rebel because my dad.
Like that, and there'll be hell to pay.
Because my dad said rebel, so we're gonna rebel because why not? You know, it's more fun this way. You know. Let's go put these guys in the hospital, you know, as the other guys did. I like that she's just watching, like, she could be calling for reinforcements, she could be doing a lot of things right now. She's just standing there, watching as we go and beat up all of her goons. I will get Maria Hill's much better in the MCU because she has an actor that can, like, you know, express. I really just don't like her character in this because she has no facial expressions. So she seems like even more annoying. I'm like, she's okay in the MCU because she at least has someone who can do a little expressiveness. Okay. See, I could still register as I chose. I could literally still register right now because this guy's still alive. I'm not going to do that. We're rebelling. My dad chose to rebel, so we continue this game next week, which we might.
Never would have pegged you as a traitor, Danvers. But even I get surprised once in a while.
Get used to it, witch. I'm sure we'll be surprising you a lot from here on out.
That's the reason I like Miss Marvel. Because I played through the game and I just like that she, like, totally sticks it to everyone.
Don't worry, kid. He'll bounce back from this. Songbird will be fine too.
So they just went and beat them both up.
You made the right choice. I knew you would. Now let's get the hell out of here before we got more of these lackeys to deal with.
So the funny thing is, you choose the rebel one, the register one. Everything will be fine, and just the guy you saw before with the shield, he'll come in, and you just have to fight him as a boss fight.
It's good to see there's still heroes like us willing to stand up for what's right. It's also encouraging to see a significant number of shield agents defecting to our side. They call themselves.
Isn't it cool that there are like a lot of shield people that come in, like, are joining us?
I can't tell you we're in for an easy time though. Stark and Shield have advanced technology and almost unlimited resources at their disposal.
But that makes the fight more fun.
What we got is more important.
Yes, we have the moral high ground. We know we're in the right.
It's always more fun that way.
Convince the public to repeal that law by remaining steadfast, and by showing everyone what it really means to be a hero.
We got a lot of operations in the works, so you can count on being asked to help out real soon.
Meantime, feel free to explore our command bunker. This abandoned Hydra storage facility is no Stark Tower, I know, but it'll hold up if S.H.I.E.L.D. comes knocking.
And we're using like a reinforced like Hydra base, which is funny with the whole Hydra versus S.H.I.E.L.D.
We won't win this thing hold up in here. Head over to the briefing station when you're ready for your first mission.
So I'm just gonna leave it there. Where's the save? I didn't realize I haven't saved until now. So we're just gonna save and we're gonna call it there because it's it's about 11 o'clock where I'm at. I think it's a good place to end for tonight. We've had a good time. My intention was to get my dad play a little bit more games, but I don't want to make him suffer too much. I don't. Games should be fun. You shouldn't be frustrated by them, so maybe I'll push it more on him next time. But anyway, so we really enjoyed it. I enjoyed having all the conversation in the chat today. Everyone was so chatty. It's very nice. I like talking to people, especially new people when they show up. Even if it's just for a few minutes or so, and all our lurkers out there who just like to listen to us, that's cool too. I'm definitely a lurker when I'm online, so that's totally cool. But we'll be here next Tuesday. We might be doing the Nuzlocke next Tuesday, or we might be playing more of this. I'm not sure yet. I'll talk to him about it, and then next Friday we'll also be here. Probably playing. I would like to do maybe a smaller game on Tuesday and a bigger game on Friday. I mean, fingers crossed. I actually got the setup working today pretty well, so hopefully that whole thing will hold, and we won't have to be remarkably late and go remarkably late anymore. So anyway. So that's going to be it for me, guys. Thanks for everyone for showing up. Hope you have a good night. And goodbye.